Hey guys, welcome to Did You Get That on Film? On this podcast, we deep dive into horror movies, and so it is full of explicit content as well as spoilers. Please be advised. Now, let's get to the show.
This is Did You Get That on Film, where we discuss characters in terrible situations that we would never find ourselves in. I'm your host, DP, and with me always is my co host, someone who knows the capital of Brazil, the geography queen herself. Ruth, how are you doing today?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode. I hope that you are all familiar with your geography as we enter this debatably great sequel.
We are discussing a sequel.
It is a sequel that exists. In case you guys are wondering what the hell we're talking about today we will be discussing I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So this is a follow-up. So last week we did do I Know What You Did Last Summer. So we thought that we would do them both in a row because it feels appropriate. It's summertime. So we did talk about this in our I Know What You Did Last Summer episode, so in the last episode. So I don't want to get too much into it, but I Still Know What You Did Last Summer was released in 1998, so 1 year after the first movie. It's a different director though. So this one was directed by Danny Cannon. And like we said previously, so this is the second film in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. It is a direct follow-up to I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it still features returning cast members from that movie. There is a third movie in the franchise. It's I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. It was a direct-to-video release. It features no returning cast. It's only very loosely connected to these movies. If I'm not mistaken, I think the characters are mentioned. Like Julie is mentioned, Carla is mentioned, but they are obviously not in the movie. So while I Know What You Did Last Summer was a loose adaptation of the 73 book by Lois Duncan, this movie has no connection whatsoever to Lois Duncan's book besides the fact that Julie James and Ray Bronson are in it. But this was very interesting. I didn't know this. Did you know that in 1998, so after the movie was released, a paperback version of the screenplay, so like a novelization of the movie, was released for I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea.
Yeah, all those movies have all that.
I didn't know. That's fun. But okay, well, let's go ahead and get started.
Yep.
So, the movie opens inside a church where Julie James is going to make confession. So, while she's in the confession booth, she reveals that she killed a man, but that it was an accident, but she just cannot get past it. She also says that she has horrible nightmares and that this man is always with her. She's crying and she says that this man killed Barry and Helen and she feels guilty because he would have killed her too, but she is the one that got away. She then tells the priest that the man's name was Ben Willis, and the priest responds that he knows. Julie is shocked and asks how could he know that? And that's when we see the priest's face, and it is in fact Ben Willis. And he turns to her and he says, I know what you did last summer, before jabbing his hook through the wall of the confessional. That's when Julie abruptly wakes up. She's in the middle of class, screaming at the top of her lungs. It was only a nightmare. So, of course, everyone is staring at her, and the professor ends up making a joke about it, and everybody's laughing. So, Julie's really embarrassed and gathers her things and runs away from class. So, another student named Will Benson follows Julie out. He is checking on her to see if she is okay. So, Will is a really good friend of Julie's, and he knows all about the whole Ben Willis nightmares, all of that. He knows that they're very common for her and they're very much affecting her. I don't believe that Will knows the full story, but he kind of knows the gist of it. So she hasn't been getting much sleep because of the nightmares, and that's why she's been falling asleep in class. She can't study, and she is once again extremely close to failing out of school. So Will blames it on it being the anniversary soon of Ben Willis trying to kill her. And he's really doing his best to comfort Julie. And Julie thanks him for the talk. And she ends up touching Will's face. And she tells him that he is good to her, which I think is really inappropriate. It's something that I actually have an issue with Julie in this movie because Will clearly likes Julie. He's been on screen, I think maybe 25 seconds, and it's already very, very obvious that he's like in love with her. Julie doesn't feel the same way though. So actions like these, when she does stuff like this, I'm like, Julie, that's kind of like lead on-y. I don't like it. Because as we'll see, so when Will and Julie are parting ways, Julie is going up to her apartment when Ray appears. They embrace, and the first thing he asks is like, "Who the hell is that guy?" Because Julie and Ray are still together, which makes her like rubbing on this guy's face even more inappropriate to me. And I'm not trying to say that Julie can't have male friends, but there's a boundary issue here because Will is clearly in love with her and her actions are very
Misleading.
yeah, they are misleading. It's too much affection. I don't even touch you like that. We barely touch.
Because we're still humans.
Right. I can't even remember the last time we best friends actually hugged each other, but I'm not rubbing on your face and stuff.
I just think when you touch someone's face, that's such an intimate act.
I agree.
It's like if you touch my face, I'd be like, "Are we gonna kiss now?
Yes.
Is this how? Is this how will they want? They finally? This is the fourth season finale. That'd be weird. I'd be like, why are you touching my face? I would feel you're making a move.
Thank you. I couldn't find a way to articulate it the way that I wanted it to, but just something about it. It's too intimate for somebody that you know is clearly in love with you. So that's why when Ray's like, "Who the hell is that?" I feel that. I don't think that Ray is being unreasonable and asking this because, like, bitch, who was that?
Well,
Well, let's not get into it just yet. Let's keep going.
it's not that we're not getting into it. It's just this is a retcon. The whole end of the last movie was you found out you didn't kill anybody. So I don't understand why she's confessing that she killed somebody. You should be stressed out and sad because Helen was murdered. And Barry was murdered.
Viciously. Okay, so let's talk about it. Yes, I did want to discuss that because I didn't know if you caught that because yes, in the confessional in her nightmare, she says that she killed a guy, which is true, maybe.
It's not true.
It's true, maybe,
Why?
because they killed Ben at the end of the movie. They cut his hand off. He should have bled to death. They cut his hand off and then he was thrown in the middle of the ocean. He should have died.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shark food.
Exactly.
Kibbles and fins.
Dante, that is so dumb. But that's what I'm saying. So yes, technically, yes, she did kill a guy.
In self-defense, though.
But in self-defense. That's what I'm saying.
He was going to kill you. Like he killed Barry and Helen.
Straight up, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He wasn't trying to talk to you. He wasn't trying to reason with you. Like he wanted to kill you, and he was going to kill Ray. And then technically, Ray killed him. So, Julie, what are you complaining about right now? And so, yes, I do agree with you to a certain extent that it feels like something here is like being retconned because she's in the confessional. She says we killed him and it was an accident. But what are we talking about right now? Because no, it wasn't an accident. You were defending yourself. You, in my opinion, have no reason to feel any guilt other than the fact that y'all hit a guy and then you left him for dead. You did not kill him, which we know, but then Barry and Helen died as a result of that. That should be eating you up. Guilt aside, you can also be like, well, I'm scared because they never found the body.
Right.
But that's not what she's saying. So I'm like, what are we talking about right now?
That's what happens when a new writer comes in.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Because your guilt should be, like you just said, Barry and Helen were murdered, and they never found his body, and we know he can swim because that's how he ended up coming back last year.
Yes, because we left him at the bottom of the ocean previously and then he came back. So I'm scared.
So I'm stressed out.
Yes, and it's almost the 4th of July again, so exactly 1 year, and we
He
knew.
has a theme for dramatics.
Yes, so he likes waiting for the year anniversary to come get that ass. So now you could be like, I'm just really nervous because they never found his body. I know for a fact he's a killer because he killed my friend. I'm scared. But that's not what she's saying. She's still doing the whole, I killed a guy and it was an accident. Girl, shut up.
Which is such a silly thing. Just lazy writing. I don't like that. Just lazy.
So when I first saw the movie, I don't know if you remember, they used a confessional clip in the trailers. I had an issue with that scene because I also have an issue with the shower scene at the end of the first movie. And they had to put this scene in here as a way to show, like, oh, Julie has nightmares. And so that's the only way that we can explain the shower scene at the end of the first one because we were too greedy to make a standalone movie. So now that we're making the second one, we have to find a way to like retcon that. She didn't actually die. He wasn't actually in the showers with her. She was just having these nightmares that now they're establishing she always has. So I didn't like the confessional scene. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I don't
It's
know.
just always so silly to me that we were being stalked by a killer and they killed my friends and I got away. Like, they could have just played with that guilt this whole movie.
Survivor's guilt.
Right. I just don't like the wording. I just really wish that they focused more on her being stressed out that she lived and they died.
I agree 100% because the whole narrative of we killed a man and it was an accident, his name was Ben Willis. I don't like that because that's not true. That's not what really happened.
And it's tired. I'm tired of hearing about that.
Me too. Me too. So let's get back to it. So she is apparently still with Ray. So Ray comes. Who the hell's that guy? She is telling Ray that they are just friends, just a friend. And Ray is like, every guy that tried to pick up a girl did the friend thing first. And he's not wrong. But Ray's like, forget all that. He is there to pick up Julie because it's 4th of July weekend. He wants to go back to Southport to do all the crazy small town stuff that we know that they do in Southport. We're talking the parade, the Croaker Queen.
They having the Croaker Queen this year?
They're doing the Croaker Queen.
The Croaker Queen of 2 years ago and her sister were murdered last year.
They were. They didn't miss a fucking beat.
And they were like, well, shit, the new one's still here?
Yes. And we don't know who that is. I'm hoping that it wasn't that bitch that sang that horrible rendition of Fame. But yes, they're like the Croaker show must Croaker go on. So they're doing the Croaker thing this year and he's like come back home
I
because
miss you.
yeah, he's like I want my girlfriend like this is supposed to be a fun thing. It's 4th of July, like it's prior to the events that happened which were very traumatic and life-changing obviously, but prior to that this was like fun to them. These are the things that they did.
And he's a real good old country boy. He's small town.
Yeah. He's a small town guy. He's like Southport down. But Julie's like, no. Julie's like, I can't go back to Southport. I'm still too traumatized. And she says that she feels like there's a small part of her that isn't healed enough to go back yet. And I was like, that's fair.
Very fair.
It's super fair. I totally understand where she's coming from. But what I don't understand is y'all haven't talked about this in the year that it's been since the last movie. What are we talking about right now? Ray, why did you drive up here? What were y'all's plans for the 4th of July if Julie's like, I'm not going to Southport, and you're like, I'm not staying here with you?
Okay,
So what's going on?
but this is what you're not wrong. This is what I'm going to give them. Realistically, if she was in class, he couldn't talk to her because she doesn't have a cell phone. So maybe he just was like, I tried the phone, she didn't answer, she's probably in class. I was just surprising. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying that it's smart. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that sometimes I was thinking back through movies we watch, like we sometimes look at things through a normal like lens of our time. But I'm like, okay, well maybe in the 90s people just showed up to your place unannounced. I mean, I wouldn't do it because I think it's un-American.
Dante, okay,
That's
yes.
what I'm thinking. I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm just saying that's probably like people probably watching it like, oh well, like he needs to see his girls.
And that's fine. I will give you that. That's fine. Maybe he did want to surprise her, which I think is kind of crazy because this seems like something that you would plan in advance. But okay, that aside. Beyond that, I think that my issue is that it's very obvious that Will seems to know all about Ben Willis, all about her nightmares, all about her trauma. And Will is, I mean, practically a stranger to Julie. She hasn't known him that long. At this point, she's supposed to have been with Ray for years now. They're supposed to be very, very close. So my thing is like, this guy knows all about her trauma and he's so understanding of it. But you, as her boyfriend, you don't know how she feels about going back to Southport. You cannot understand where she's coming from. You cannot empathize with what she's going through. I don't know. I just find that really weird.
Well, yeah, you're right because the movie has to make it to where Ray is out of the picture,
Right.
and there's just like we don't have time for Ray's drama. Like he can't have any trauma because she has it. I thought a cooler way to integrate Ray would have been for them to be together, and now they're together, and it convinced him to enroll in school. So now you still have that triangle thing, but there's a reason why Ray is like, he's here now. He's gonna go on the trip too. I just feel like it was just like a way to write Ray off because I know we've talked off pod about this, but Ray is going to be in his own movie.
Yeah.
Ray is in an entirely different movie after this scene, and I just feel that was a very strange choice in the writing.
Well, I totally get what you're saying. I definitely wish that they'd written Ray's character a little bit differently, incorporated him more in the story. I don't know if it would have fit that he came to school with her because everything that we know about Ray suggests that he would stay in Southport because that is his thing. He is a fisherman. But I agree. I don't think that the writers handled Ray's storyline well at all.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I mean, it's like Ray is not feeling what Julie is saying right now. And that's a large part of the reason that Ray just like pisses me off in this movie. Because you should be more understanding of what Julie is going through because you were there, you witnessed it. And I mean, she's legitimately suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And Ray is just acting so fucking dense. Like, he cannot comprehend what she's going through, which is insane to me. Beyond that, he is interpreting her need for space from Southport, the place where literally all of these traumatic events took place. He is interpreting that as, oh, well, you must need space from me, which is so insane and so fucking selfish of Ray. And in my opinion, it doesn't really fit with his character. I just thought it was an insane way for him to react to what she's going through. But she tries to come up with an alternative. So she suggests that why don't you just stay here with me? Because me not wanting to go to Southport has nothing to do with me wanting to be with you. I actually do want to be with you. And then this bitch says, I can't stay. I have to work because I'm a fisherman and my boat is in Southport.
I told you this movie is silly.
So you're telling me that you cannot stay here because you're a fisherman and you have to work. But you wanted her to come back to Southport to what? Sit on your fishing boat all fucking day? That doesn't make any sense. If you had to work, then why were you pushing so hard to get her to come back with you anyway? What are we talking about right now?
That scene wasn't proofread. All of that happened and none of it made sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when y'all was saying those lines, nobody was like, but if he has to work, why would he want her to come?
It doesn't make sense, and it also doesn't feel like it fits with Ray's character, but whatever. So then this stupid idiot just decides to storm off.
He says, forget it.
Right, like a fucking child, and doesn't even stop as Julie is calling after him.
Interrupting these people's soccer game.
That is so funny because it's true.
We playing soccer, motherfucker. Like, what you doing? Like, why you walk all between us? Walk around.
Ray's being a fucking asshole. Well, let's keep going. So Julie heads into her apartment and we see her lock all 36 of the deadbolts that she's put on her door.
It's a college campus.
It could be dangerous. And besides, a killer is hunting you. Girl, throw those locks on there. But before heading off to eat a snack and take a depression nap, she sits on her bed for a moment and she looks at a picture of Helen that she has sitting next to her bed on her nightstand. And I thought that was a great touch. I really appreciated them putting that in the movie.
Why did you take that picture off of Ben Willis' boat?
I don't necessarily think that she took that picture off of Ben Willis's boat, but she might have.
That's the same picture.
It is the same picture, but she also could have gotten it because remember, this is like the Croker Parade. There was a lot of photography out there that day for the news and things. So they could have also taken that picture that day and she could have gotten a copy. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same picture from Ben Willis's boat.
I just can't believe that they didn't have a behind the scenes picture of Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt together to use.
I know. I agree. It would have been nice to see them like touching
any picture not from the day
the
she
day
died.
that she was murdered. Yeah. No, I agree with that. But I think that they had been estranged for a whole year. And I think that it was like the last picture of her, it was like the last picture taken of her where she actually looked like happy. And I was like, I kind of reasoned with myself that that's why Julie chose to have that picture because it's not them from when they were like 17, but rather when like the last time that she saw her.
Helen was so unhappy that day.
She was miserable.
But I understand. I'm going to let you have that. It's just the film once again is being very lazy. But I'll let you have your reasoning.
No, I agree. But realistically, I believe that the picture's on there just because they were like, oh, this will be something that the audience will easily recognize and we don't have to like do any work.
Right. They're just being lazy. So it's fine. It's fine.
Well, I appreciated them putting the scene in there.
I did too.
It's very much like Tatum's ashes in Scream 5. It's like we want the characters in the movie to actually remember the people that were close to them that died.
I love that scene in 5 though. And I love that.
Me too.
That's such a real thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so she looks at the picture of Helen and then she climbs into bed and she falls asleep. When she is awoken, it's later in the night, completely dark. She hears her front door close. So because it's so dark in the house, she tries to turn on the lamp next to her bed, but the bulb explodes, so she is extra scared. Already on edge, now she's teetering off. So she grabs a knife that she keeps in her nightstand, which makes sense, and she goes to investigate. As she's walking through the house, she hears floorboards creaking, and so she knows someone's in there. We, as the audience, see someone run behind her into her bedroom. So, maximum tension right now. So she's startled, but she heads back into her bedroom and she can see that someone is rummaging in her closet. The light is on. So she readies her knife and she walks over when her roommate Carla appears. Which, girl, you don't live alone. Okay? That should have been the first thing that you did, was ask if it was your roommate, but okay. So Carla was just in Julie's closet. And I'm sorry, Carla is played by the very talented, very beautiful Brandy. So don't forget it. So Carla was just in Julie's closet trying to borrow one of her black skirts for the night because she was under the impression that Julie was out of town, which again, your roommate also thought you were going to be out of town. Did you make Ray think that you were going to go out of town?
Why are you making like Julie is somebody who is pleasant and normal?
Okay.
Ray is not a crazy dude.
I mean, you're not wrong, but he's also not being a considerate person or boyfriend.
Well, now, okay. He's not being really reasonable. But now it seems the story is she had made plans. Yeah, totally. We're gonna go down. Come pick me up. And then when he get there, she like, I can't.
After this man drove God knows how long to get here.
I'm not saying that she doesn't have the right to be like, it stresses me out. But now it's kind of like, well, damn. I wish you would have told me.
Right. I mean, we don't know the full story, but I'm like, so your boyfriend and your roommate thought you were going to be out of town this weekend? It seems like you're playing games, Miss James. But Carla is obviously startled by Julie, who's holding a big ass fucking knife. Like, she's not relenting. She's holding this knife up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really asking Carla, like, what the hell are you doing in my closet? And Carla's like, girl, take your skirt back. I'm not ready to die for it. So Carla ends up taking the knife away from Julie, and she suggests that Julie go out that night with her to the club where Carla works to blow off some steam because obviously Julie needs it. So Julie tells her that she isn't in the mood, and when Carla asks Julie what's wrong, Julie tells her she thinks she hurts Ray's feelings and it's really weighing on her. Now Carla likes Ray, but basically, she says that Ray is Super Magoo and he lives in Southport. And Carla suggests that Julie should date Will because he's nice and lives right down the street, as if Will is not the most Magoo person that this franchise has ever seen. But Will is Carla's friend too.
Who would say something like that?
I think that is so weird. I thought this was strange because are you suggesting that she break up with Ray? They've been together years since high school. So I'm just like, what is I guess I don't understand Carla's motivations a lot in the movie as far as Will goes.
You're not supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, Will's your friend, but
But is he?
I mean, that's what she says. Will is her friend.
Okay. Remember that.
Okay. But after their discussion, Carla finally convinces Julie to go to the club. So she's gonna go. So once they're there, they meet up with Carlo's boyfriend Tyrell, aka Ty, and they're all gonna head to the dance floor. But as they're walking over, Carla spots Will, who she told to meet them at the club because she is trying extra hard to hook Will and Julie up, which I think is so fucking bizarre.
No, it's not bizarre. It's fucked up.
It's fucked up.
And just because she has given us many, many, many hits, it doesn't mean that her character is not trash.
Well, I think that what she's doing is trash. I hate the way that she's really pushing Will on Julie because it's ultimately not fair to Will, Julie, or Ray, right? It's a shitty you're creating a shitty situation for literally everybody involved, but you who has no stake in this relationship.
Right.
Will decides to go get Julie a drink, and as she's standing there waiting for him, she looks up. She ends up spotting Ben Willis in his slicker standing on the balcony. And I was like, girl, you know damn well the bouncer didn't let a fisherman in a slicker come into this club. They barely let dudes in the club anyway.
With a hat?
With that
You know you
hat?
can't wear your hat in the club. You know you can't wear your hat in the club.
Absolutely not. The bouncer did not let that man in the club like that, Julie. And he probably stinks. And he has a hook for a hand because he's missing his hand. They didn't let that man in the club, Julie. Let's think, girl. Put your thinking cap on.
Bouncers are sexist against men and ableist against everyone. So he had a hook? Come on.
No. And they'll judge the fuck out of what you have on. First of all, you can't wear the hat. Second of all, those boots are busted. Back of the line. Julie, let's be for real. Ben Willis is not in the club, but she believes that he is really there. So she heads up to the balcony. Obviously, he isn't up there because, girl, that's crazy. So she stops to catch her breath before feeling like he is right behind her. But when she turns around, he, of course, isn't there, which is like, obviously, he's not going to be there. That makes sense. But the movie is really just trying to show you that Julie is paranoid to the max at this point. She is never in a situation where she can rest because she is always afraid that Ben Willis is going to show up. That is Julie's mind state throughout the entire film. So that's when Will finds her and she apologizes to him. She tells him she has to go home like right this second. And I know that Will is holding that $12 fucking
Cosmo.
vodka soda. Yeah. And he is like, son of a bitch. But Julie bounces like ASAP. The next morning at their house, Julie is awoken by the sound of Carla's sneakers thumping in the dryer. And then a phone call comes in on their house phone, and Carla grabs it, expecting it to be Ty. And Julie is a little upset because she says that her number isn't listed. And I'm like, so your roommate can't give people her phone number? That's kind of cheeky.
Sorry.
But Carla tells Julie to relax because she and Ty have been dating for 3 months, which is zero time. Absolutely no time. But she says that he isn't a stalker. But when she answers the phone, it isn't Tyrell. It is actually a radio DJ, Mark in the Morning from Magic 96.7. And he's calling to give Carla an opportunity to win a paid vacation from the radio station.
Scam likely.
Okay, Dante, that's so funny that you should say that. Because I saw people talking about how ridiculous it is that Carla would even think that this was real in the first place. But I was like, me growing up in the 90s, this isn't that ridiculous to me because, first of all, I don't know if you remember the radio station, it was a possibility for the radio station to just call you. That is a thing that could happen. But that aside, scams like this were not as common in the 90s. I mean, this was like peak Publishers Clearinghouse era where people would just show up at your door with $1 million and it was actually like legit. But additionally, I think that, you know, being in the 90s, being in this climate, and being broke college students with like nothing to lose, it doesn't really surprise me that they would jump at an opportunity like this. And they're pretty young too, right? I think they might only be like 20. I think they're sophomores. Are they sophomores?
They have to be.
No, I think they're juniors.
It's weird. But you know what makes it weird? She gives it real world time in the movie, but that ending at the end of the first one makes it to where a semester has passed. Because she tells Ray on the phone when she's in the shower, I made the ding.
It's not a semester. It's a year.
Right. Well, at least a semester had passed.
It's a year because there's a title screen.
Oh, damn.
It's a whole year.
I'm so tired of people not fact checking these things for no reason. They don't have somebody who checked this. Why would you put a 1 year later? Because then realistically, it's been 2 years since Helen died.
Yes. But this is the thing.
Okay, I'm listening.
No, it's not a good reason.
Oh.
So don't be prepared for like a real like good explanation. It is not. I think that playing kind of fast and loose with the timeline because the movies came out 1 year apart. But in the movie, they hit Ben Willis with their car. 1 year passes, and Julie is coming home for the summer after college. So that's 1 year since the accident. She is there with Ray and Helen and everything. Helen dies. Then the end of the movie, we get a title screen. It says 1 year later. So that's 2 years since the hit, 1 year since Helen and Barry have died. She's happy at college. She's going home presumably for another 4th of July. That's over. So now here we are, and it's supposed to be, I would assume, a year after that. So now it's 3 years since the initial accident and 2 years since Barry and Helen died. It is now yet another July 4th.
That's what I thought too. So are they trying to say that the end credit scene and this movie is all the same year?
I guess they have to be trying to say that. I feel like they're playing fast and loose with it, but I think that the only way that we can describe it is that end credit scene where he jumps through the glass, that wasn't real. That was just a nightmare. And so she had that nightmare then, and then immediately got a snazzy little haircut, and then she's still in classes.
I know she goes to summer school.
She does go to summer school. But yeah, the timeline doesn't make a ton of sense as they're stating it in the movie, because realistically she should be like a junior by now. And they look like juniors, right? It looks like time has passed,
Especially Tyrell.
especially Tyrell. But wait, you know what? Now that we're talking through it, the timeline makes even less sense because remember she was living with, like, what was her name? Debbie was like her freshman roommate, and then at the end of the movie Debbie brings her the letter that ends up being a pool party invitation, but she thought it was a note from Ben Willis before the, like, shower scene. So Debbie was still like her roommate sophomore year. She was living in the dorms, and now she's living in, like, student apartments with Carla. So it has to be another year.
Right. I really don't like when movies do that.
Yeah, the continuity is off.
And for no reason.
Right. Well, yeah, well, let's keep going. So
Scam likely is on the phone.
Scam likely is on the phone, but I was saying all of that to say I just don't think in the 90s. I think we still had, like, Publishers Clearinghouse. Like, I can understand why she wouldn't think that this was a scam. People today, I think, cannot believe that this is a thing that would happen, but I won't fault Carla for thinking that it's legitimate.
No. I don't fault people for those kind of things because, like you said, like with Publisher Clearinghouse, they just show up to your house. What I fault them for is, my number's not listed. How would they have it? How did they get that number?
Right. But I guess they're just really caught up.
I guess as paranoid as Julie is, I would immediately be like, how you got this number?
Yes, I agree, but she's just really trying to go to the Bahamas. so, so they're really excited about this. So they're giving Carla the opportunity to win, and I guess the excitement is really, like, clouding their brains, and they're not thinking, how did you get this number? Like, they're not really focusing on that. So to win the vacation, all Carla has to do is tell Mark in the morning the capital of Brazil. Simple enough. So they're thinking, they don't really know. They're looking on their bookshelves. Nobody has a damn atlas anywhere. So Julie does the next best thing, I guess. She pulls out a bag of pasta. She pulls out a bag of pasta. And on the bag of pasta, all it says is that the pasta was made in Rio de Janeiro. So they believe.
What?
Dante, wait. Dante.
So she's looking at this pasta that is from Brazil?
Yeah, so it's Rio de Janeiro pasta. And so I don't know. It's like, because the pasta says Rio, they're like, that must be the capital. I don't even think the pasta purports to be from the capital of Brazil. But once Carla hears Rio de Janeiro, she's like, oh, fuck yeah. So she tells Mark in the morning, Rio de Janeiro, and he's like, oh, wait, did you say? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, congratulations. You won the quickie getaway. You are getting an all expenses paid trip for 4 people to the Bahamas to a place called Tower Bay Island. So, of course, Carla tells Julie that she can come, but she has to bring someone with her. So, of course, Julie wants to bring Ray,
Her boyfriend.
which makes sense. No, that makes perfect sense. But what doesn't make sense is like what's about to fucking happen. Oh my god, my chest is starting to hurt. So she calls him at work out on the docks. He gets the call. Now this is a landline phone. So like Dante mentioned, there are no cell phones. So she calls him, he apologizes to her for being an ass. She apologizes to him, and then she asks him to go on this trip with her to the Bahamas this weekend. And Ray is such an asshole right now because he's immediately like, "Oh, so you can go away with your college friends, but you can't go away with me?" I hate behavior like this. I don't like this. If I was Julie, realistically, I might break up with Ray right now because this is so immature and crazy. I think her reasoning for not wanting to go to Southport is insanely valid. It's absurdly logical. She's like, "Ray, what the fuck? I said I wasn't ready yet for Southport. It has nothing to do with you. It's the place where I was almost murdered, my best friends were murdered, and you got a scary letter."
In that order.
Exactly. So let's put everything in perspective right now.
A letter we still haven't seen.
We never saw the letter Billy Blue. Barry was right for clocking Ray because Ray, what the fuck are you talking about? So he apologized to her for being an asshole as if he thought things over, but Ray, you're just doing the same shit that you just did. What, 12 hours ago?
I will always think in this movie that they did whatever they could to get Ray away from everyone because he is being ridiculous and it doesn't make any sense.
I agree. I agree. It's so dense and so ridiculous that it's not realistic. Right. So it's just like movie is movieing right
Right.
now.
When he spent the last movie doing everything to be like sensitive and like try to get back in her good graces.
Exactly. Yes.
So
You're absolutely right. So finally Julie is like, I just really want us to be together, go on this trip together. But Ray tells her that they're in the middle of a really big run, which we're going to find out is not even true. But he says that he has to go back out to do more fishing that night. So he doesn't think that he can make it. So Julie begs him to at least try. She really misses him. And he says he will try, but doesn't make it sound promising. He tells her that if he doesn't make it, she should go without him, which is super inconsiderate of Ray because this is Carla's trip. So Ray's being really, really ridiculous. But when they're off the phone, Ray's friend Dave is like, "What the fuck? We haven't caught anything for days. And it's a free trip to the Bahamas. You need to just go. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" And Ray's like, "Yeah, ugh, I'm so stupid." And Dave, just like us, are like, "Yeah, you are fucking stupid, Ray." So that's when Ray shows Dave that he got Julie a ring and he is planning on proposing to her. And I'm like, this is how you act when you're planning on proposing to someone? I'm flabbergasted. But he wants to immediately call Julie back to tell her that he's going to go. But Dave convinces him not to, saying he should just surprise Julie instead, which, again, very inconsiderate because this is Carla's trip and she is saving a ticket. So they decide that they're going to drive up together so that Dave can go see some of his friends, Ray can go on the trip. And while they're driving up, at this point it's nightfall, and they come across an apparent car accident. There is a man lying in the middle of the road next to a car that looks like it's wrecked in some way. So Dave suggests that they keep going, find a phone, and call for help. But Ray doesn't want to do that because he says that he's learned his lesson about leaving people on the road for dead. So Ray leaves Dave in the car and walks to check on this person, and he sees that it's a fisherman in a slicker. But when Ray gets up to the person, he takes off the guy's hat and realizes that it's just a mannequin. And so he immediately realizes that this is a setup. So he turns and he screams to warn Dave, but it's too late. So Ben Willis has already appeared next to Dave's window. And as Dave is screaming, Ben Willis puts his hook through Dave's lower jaw, right through his chin, and pulls him through the window and out of the car. He then violently rips the hook out of Dave's mouth, killing him. And that is the first on screen kill.
What a nothing character.
Dave was just there to get an early kill, I think. To get an early kill, and so that Ray had someone to say out loud to that he's going to surprise Julie. That was like Dave's entire purpose in the film. He was in it for a minute and 45 seconds.
I didn't realize that his scenes were so back to back.
I hadn't seen it in a little while. I thought that there was like a scene between them discussing it and getting on the road. No. It's literally like we meet Dave 93 seconds later. Davis is dead. So, bye, Dave. So, Ben Willis then climbs into Ray's truck and he proceeds to chase Ray down as Ray tries to run zigzag in the road to escape. Right before Ben hits Ray, Ray ends up diving over the guardrail and goes tumbling really far down into this embankment. It's quite a tumble, and he ends up knocking himself out, and he's just kind of left there.
He didn't get a layer this time, bitch.
No, no. So, this is the first indication in the movie that Ben Willis is actually alive, that he is alive and still very dangerous.
Ben Willis is not just a murderer, he's a goddamn asshole. You got away with it. What is your beef? I'm on my Gail Weathers. What is your problem?
I agree.
Should we do that part now or later?
We can do it now. We can talk about this shit right now.
What is your problem? Yes, they left you for dead, but you got away with killing Billy Egan.
David
Egan. He's worm food. You got what you wanted. Cotton got the chair, and David Egan got to be kibbles and fins.
I'm so happy it made another appearance in the episode.
What is your problem? What is wrong with this man? What are you mad about now? You still mad? You got away with murder.
But wait, the craziest part, the absolute most insane part is that, and we're going to get to it at the end because of course at the end we're going to have like a whole like villain talks about his whole plan type thing with the character. So we're going to discuss it when we get there too. But if we rewind back to the end of I Know What You Did Last Summer, do you remember when he gets Julie on the boat? He's mad at her because he's like, oh yeah, you kids should be out having fun, drinking, driving, leaving guys for dead in the middle of the road or something like that. And he has this line where he's like, when you leave a man for dead, make sure he's really dead. You murdered a guy. Am I taking fucking crazy pills? You literally murdered somebody. Are we supposed to forget that?
And left his family to think he killed himself. His mother is in a mental institution. His sister needs to be certified.
Yeah, his sister needs to be there with her. Talking about Billy Blue. Glass. George Glass. But no, I like these movies. I like the I Know What You Did Last Summer featuring Julie James movies. I am excited for the new movie that is coming up. I want to see it. But at the end of the day, it's hard to understand this killer because he has this really like self-righteous type attitude, and the movie makes it seem like in his head his entire motive is that I was just an innocent man and you left me for dead and now my whole life is going to be making sure that you pay. But it's like, bro, get over it at this point. If I got hit like Ben Willis, I would have been like, damn, immediate karma, right? Because I was out here moving really foul, right? I just killed somebody and I'm on a desolate street in the middle of the night. Yeah, I guess I did get hit.
And you got away with it.
Right. And yeah, they shouldn't have thrown you in the water. That is true. But you walked away from that. Count your blessings. But it's the movie making that Ben Willis's only motivation that gets to be a little bit like unrealistic, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. It's just like I don't find this motive believable at this point. And it would be different if they said somewhere like, "Oh, well, he's just like crazy or he does stuff like this to everyone that's wronged him," but they don't give us any of that. They just keep harping on like, "Oh, well, we hit him and it was an accident and now he's out for revenge." And it's like it's a little ridiculous at this point. And with that being his only motive, the ire that he has towards Julie, and we're going to talk about when we get to the end of this movie, it's so crazy and unreal. It's like his motivation no longer makes any sense. And that's kind of my issue that I have with this franchise in general. Because it's like, even when you think about Ghostface, even if their motivation is just something like, oh, well, the last Ghostface got really famous for this, and now I want to do it so I can get famous, I can at least see a world where that is somewhat believable. I have a hard time even finding Ben Willis's motivations to be believable.
I can't believe you got away with it and you still like, nah. Somebody still needs to be punished because I was inconvenienced.
Dante, that is the gist of this entire franchise. That is the foundation of this franchise is this man got a little bruised up one summer and thrown in some water and he was like, I think the fuck not. He's like, I'm gonna get these bitches because these bitches need to get got. And that's Ben Willis in a fucking nutshell.
You killed all these people
Right.
over an inconvenience.
Right. He can't stand it. So, Ray is unconscious. He's left at the bottom of this embankment. We then cut to the next day. Carla and Julie are sitting outside, dressed and ready, and they're waiting to see if Ray is going to show up. Julie has called him. She's left 4 messages and gotten no response. And at this point, it's getting down to the wire. They have flights to catch. Carla is done. As I would be too. Because, girl, this is ridiculous. I really should have invited my parents. But Julie says, he said he'd try. And Carla's like, Julie, try is bullshit. Bullshit. And she tells Julie that Ray is only breaking her heart because he can, which is true. Like, Carla is kind of down bad for what she's doing with the whole Will thing. But she's definitely right because in this movie, at least, Ray is not being good to Julie. You know what I mean? He's definitely not being the concerned and considerate boyfriend that Julie is looking for.
Well, do you ever think that maybe Ray going through his own shit? You get to leave Southport and not think about it, but I gotta be in this motherfucker every day. I'm poor. I'm not saying that he right. I'm not saying that he right. I'm just saying like this is not Brandy. This is Carla. We love Brandy. There's nothing Brandy can't do for us.
Accurate.
We love Brandy. That voice is immaculate.
We love you, Brandy.
We love you, Brandy. But Carla, there's nothing you can say that makes me think Carla's not down bad. I understand what you're saying, but I just think that maybe Ray's going through his shit.
Carla is not doing the right thing right now. That is accurate.
Even though we know he lied, he said he was busy and he had to work. So maybe, he was like, if I can't come, just like, go without me. It's okay.
But Ray was already being an asshole.
I never said he wasn't.
So this is just an extension in their minds. So it's like, yeah, Ray is going through a lot, and I could see how Ray would be really upset by everything that happened, but she gave you the opportunity to get out of Southport and you didn't want to. You don't want to come stay with her for the 4th of July weekend. You have to work. Okay, whatever. If you couldn't come on this trip, you need to say that, But my thing is, he didn't just say I have to work. He said, oh, so you can go away with your college friends, but you don't have time for me. That's how he approached it.
Right.
So it's hard to be sympathetic with Ray right now because he's just not handling Julie well, what she's going through well.
No, he's not.
And I love Brandy, so I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. But no, what she's doing is wrong, but I do understand where they're coming from as far as Ray is concerned, because I highly doubt that in the year or however long that her and Julie have known each other, that this is the first time that Ray has done something like this. But that's when Tyrell pulls up. He has Will in tow. Carla did not tell Julie that Will was going to be here. What are your thoughts on on the subject?
I think she's low down. I think she's low down because at the end of the day, mind your business.
But what would you have her do with that ticket? Would you rather Julie just go and be a third wheel, or would you rather invite someone who is also your friend? Because Will is friends with Carla and Tyrell. They're
No,
mutual friends.
he's friends with Carla.
And now, because
There's no story you about to tell me that because Tyrell act like Will is the worst person. Like he never even met Will before. He's friends with Carla, and I'll give you that. I 100% believe it. They're both poli-sci majors. It's whatever. He does not know Tyrell.
okay, they've been friends for at least 3 months because that's how long Carla and Tyrell have been dating. So they're at least acquaintances, way more than what Tyrell would be with Ray. To me, it was only logical that she would invite Will. So I don't think that she's wrong for doing that. She's wrong for a lot of other things, and we will get there soon. But inviting him, no, can't really say that she's wrong there.
Why did she invite Julie's stupid ass? Because Julie got too much stuff with her.
Well, that's what that is accurate. That wasn't what I was trying to say, but that is true. Julie is kind of irritating me in all of this too, because Carla won these tickets. It was nice of her to invite you, and extra nice of her to invite Ray. And then Ray had the nerve to be kind of pissy about the whole thing. And now here we are, the day comes and Ray just didn't show up. And now Julie is feeling some type of way about her inviting Will. And it's like, Julie, girl, the nerve of you. And then I guess she was just assuming, well, if Ray couldn't go, nobody should go. Absurd way of thinking. The level of audacity is off the charts.
What's ever going on with you and Ray needs to be with you and Ray. Y'all got too much going on. I'm trying to go to the Bahamas.
Right.
But keep going. It's so weird. So yeah, so he's in the car with his friend Tyrell.
So Will and Tyrell pull up, and Julie is upset because Will is there. But Carla's like, bitch, you can stay or you can go. But Will is my friend too, and I had the extra ticket. I knew Ray wasn't coming because I apparently know Ray better than you. So she's like, we're just going to make the most of a holiday weekend because realistically, we would have all been hanging out anyway.
He was on his way though. They don't know he got hit by a car. He technically was on his way. Now, I'm not saying everything else with it wasn't weird how he did it, but had he not got hit by a car, he would have made it.
Yeah.
You understand that Ray is my favorite character in this film.
That's fine.
So I'm hard capping for Ray. I want you to understand that. Sometimes I might say something, you're like, that's kind of crazy. And you got to go, oh yeah, because this is the only character you really like.
That's fine, but I'm going to tell you that is crazy every single time.
And that's okay.
Because Ray didn't handle this well, but Julie's not handling it well either.
But why would you expect Julie to handle something well?
Okay.
Because Julie sat in that car and Helen said, what happened between us? I miss you. And Julie sat there like she was repeating her order at the drive-thru.
She said, oh, word? That's
crazy.
But let's continue.
So finally we get into the movie.
Yes. So yes, now we are finally getting to where the movie kind of begins. All this is just like the preamble.
It was like 50 minutes.
I know. The movie is not very long, but yes. So now the group goes through a day of traveling, and they're taking little jabs at each other because Will is freaking out on the plane because he can't fly. and Tyrell is throwing up uncontrollably on the boat because he can't sail. Which they would have hated having me on this trip because I'm not good in either of those things.
I'm not good on anything.
I'm not good on anything that moves.
I can't sit in the backseat of a car.
Nope. I get so sick.
I hate that shit.
I don't like it.
God, put me in the front seat. I don't even drive. I have to drive.
I need to drive. But yeah. So that's when the captain of the boat, he tells them all about how if you want to get on and off the island, you have to take the boat. Unless there's an emergency, then that's when they call the Coast Guard to send in helicopters. So it's really showing just how remote this island is. But when they arrive to the island, there is a dockhand named Derek who helps them off their boat, and he really cheerfully gives them the whole spiel about how he'll be helping them during their stay. But when they're out of earshot, he talks to the boat captain about having to really hurry up because it's the end of the season. And the captain makes a note that, if the radio is right about the weather, he's already at a time the season is over. So that's when the captain flips a sign that says the last boat departs at 6 p.m. So this is kind of giving us as the audience an indication that this quickie getaway is probably not going to be the weekend in paradise.
Scam likely.
It's scam likely. So as the group is walking to the resort, they cross paths with eccentric Titus, aka Jack Black, with white people dreadlocks. And y'all know how we feel about those.
God. Laurie Strode, please.
So he offers to sell them weed, but the group isn't interested. When the group arrives at the front desk to check in, they're met by a very unfriendly resort manager named Brooks. So he and Tyrell have a bit of a heated exchange. When all that's done, he gives them the keys to their rooms. It's rooms 201 and 202. He shows a little bit of concern when he sees the room numbers, but tells them that those rooms are their honeymoon suites, which Julie is really not feeling at all, but Carla obviously loves. So Brooks then goes on to tell them that it's the off season and there will be minimal staff during their stay, and the group is shocked because they had no idea about any of this. So he tells them that that very day that they're arriving is the start of the rainy season. And beyond that, there's like a hurricane coming, so it's like crazy weather right now. He says that it rolls in like clockwork. So they have about one night to kind of have fun here. Carla is super bummed about that because she really wanted the rest of the group to have a really nice stay. But everybody is trying to stay really positive. It's not Carla's fault. They just figure that they're going to have fun together anyway. When they get to their rooms, the bellman, Estes, arrives with their bags. And we wanted to talk about this earlier because Estes is actually played by Bill Cobbs, who I think it was like 2 days before we started recording, 1 day or 2 days before we started recording, Bill Cobbs actually passed away, which is very, very sad.
And we had already had this episode on the docket.
Yeah, he was 90 years old.
Good long life.
I agree. Rest in peace to Bill Cobbs. So Estes arrives with their bags, and he ends up telling them that they don't really use these rooms much. And when the group asks why, he says no reasons, they're just really fancy rooms for kids their ages. So that's when Carla tells him that they won a contest by guessing the capital of Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. And Estes is like, oh.
No child left behind. He was like that goddamn bush.
Dante, stop. I'm not trying to spoil it yet, so we'll get there. But Estes is like, well, congratulations to you, you sad, sad little children. So that's when he's like, where can I put these bags so I can get on with my fucking day?
Fear all these stupid fools.
I know. So Carla tells him to put Will and Julie's bags in one room and put her and Tyrell's bags in another room. And Julie is upset by this And I'm like, Julie, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen?
Why didn't you say something when y'all got there? Why didn't you just say like, "Hey, if it's the all season there anyway, we can have two conjoining rooms. Can we not have a honeymoon suite, please?"
Right. So when they said honeymoon suites, I don't know. I guess I'm like, why would Julie be under the impression that Carla wouldn't room with her boyfriend? I think that that's weird. But when he said that, why wouldn't you at least be like, oh, well, I'm sorry. Is it possible for one of the rooms at the very least to be a double instead of the honeymoon suite? What are we talking? Julie, you waited until you got here and now it's all awkward.
100%. And how unfair to Estes.
Oh, is standing here like I'm literally just trying to get this over with.
I know you're not gonna tip.
And they didn't. So Julie is like, Carla, you promised. And Carla's like, bitch, I also promised Tyrell. I'm here with my boyfriend, Julie. Girl, be reasonable. But Julie does not want a room with Will. And Carla's like, please get over yourself. The rooms have sofas.
Why did you wait until we brought our stuff up here? Because that's silly.
On its face, it's stupid. Julie, what are we talking about right now, girl? So Will, who is awkwardly standing here listening to this exchange, he's like, Julie, I'll sleep on the couch. It's fine. So he goes to pick up the bags, but Estes brushes him off and he says that he's been doing this job since before Will was a gleam in his father's eye.
That's a very foreboding statement. He might as
I
well have had
agree.
like thunder in the background.
I know. So everyone is happy for the moment. And that's when we cut to Ray, who is in the hospital. He's very beat up. Dante.
It's funny because it's such a dramatic. It's another movie.
It is like another movie because he's at a hospital like in a city. I think they don't really like know who he is. Like he's told this story. There's like a detective there. It's a whole thing that's happening. But Ray is in the hospital from his tumble down the ditch. And the doctors had called the police because Ray told them about Dave being murdered, killed by Ben Willis, but they don't actually believe him. The detective says they didn't find any body, no other cars on the road, and he believes that Ray just fell asleep behind the wheel of his car, hit the guardrail, tumbled down the ditch. And the doctor does note that Ray suffered some pretty severe head trauma. So they're just kind of under the assumption that he is not really remembering things lucidly, that maybe it'll all come back to him when he's in better shape.
How did he get out the car then? The windshield would be broken.
No, I think that they're like, oh, he fell out of the driver's window, which is something that can feasibly happen if the car flips. His car didn't flip, so I don't know. The writers are like, just put something, say something. I don't know. Fuck.
They really wrote this scene to give that nurse her dramatic line.
They told that nurse, girl, you have one shot, so you
One
better
shot.
fucking take it. And she was like, I understand this assignment.
25 years of community theater. I am ready.
so while they're discussing all that, that is when the nurse sharply looks over them and she tells the doctors there's a code coming from Ray's room. Code fucking blue. So it looks as though he's flatlined, but instead he has climbed out the window and run away.
In a hospital
That's it.
gown. Ass out and everything.
That's what I was thinking, but I was like, I have to assume, I don't know, like, did they take off his clothes and then put them in the room with him? I don't, because in my mind, his ass is out,
His ass is
right?
out.
Dre's assed out, jumping out of the window of a hospital room. Insanity. But back on the island, the gang is heading to the hotel bar, which is completely empty, obviously, with the exception of the sassy bartender, Nancy. This is because they are the literal only guests left on the entire island, which means they could have had any rooms they wanted, but I digress. So they sit down at the bar. Nancy makes them 4 dark and stormies, and the gang decides to do a little karaoke. So Carla sets up the machine for Julie to sing. So she's singing I Will Survive. I think this is another clip that was in the trailers.
It was so much in the trailers.
Yes. So Julie starts singing and everyone's having a really great time, but when she has to turn around to look at the screen, in red is written, I still know what you did last summer. And Julie starts to panic. So she tries to tell them what she saw, but she can't really explain it well without sounding like an insane person. So instead, she decides to just like run off to her bedroom like an insane person. So when she walks in, there is a note sitting on the table for her with her name in that familiar black block letter writing. She nervously approaches it, slowly opens it, and while she's doing this, she doesn't notice that someone is coming up behind her. So when she opens it, the only thing the note says is surprise. And that's when she notices the person sneaking up behind her. She turns around screaming, only to find that it's Will who's brought her a vase of flowers, which he ends up dropping and smashing all over the floor. I am confused at times because does Will not know that Julie has a boyfriend?
He doesn't care. He doesn't care, and Carl is telling him that they're not in a good place, so he could probably get her.
I don't like that. That rubs me the wrong way.
We're going to see for people.
Right. But my thing is, Carlos probably, I'm sure, is telling him that. And Will maybe doesn't care. But I never hear Julie talk to Will about Ray. I never hear her say, I'm sorry, I can't, I have a boyfriend. I've never, like, in the entire movie, I never hear Julie mention Ray's name to Will. And I find that kind of crazy.
Why do you keep wanting Julie to be a good character?
She doesn't have to be a good character, but I would like her to be decent.
The decency left this movie when Helen fell between those tires.
We'll never forget you, Helen.
Never. They'll be like, y'all doing Schindler's List. Why y'all talking about Helen?
I know. We love you, Helen Shivers. Well, Will comes in and he smashes the flowers, and Julie is extremely apologetic because she's like, God, this is so sweet, and I'm such a mess. Julie, okay. Will tells her that he just really likes her and wants her to have a good time. He then says that he's going to give her some time alone, and he goes for a walk, and Julie feels really bad, and I don't know why.
Because you got glass all over the floor. You got a mop to get that up.
I thought that too. I was like, who the hell is going to clean that up? He drops the glass and then just like fucks off. And I'm like, I'm not going to clean it.
He didn't want to clean it. He was like, yeah,
he didn't want to clean it. He was like, I'm going to give you your space. So he just like fucks off. He's gone. So meanwhile, we get a scene. It's down by the docks, and Derek, the dockhand, he's trying to finish up all the shit that he has to do for his job before he heads in for the rest of the fucking weekend. So that includes tying up the island's boats, their little dinghies, before the weather turns too bad. While he's doing that, Titus pops up and scares him. And Titus suggests that they take the boat to the mainland to go to a party. And Derek is like us. Fuck no. Fuck no. I am trying to get in my bed, in my pajamas, creams on my face, snacks in my mouth.
Hair wrapped.
I'm not getting in a fucking boat to go to a party? Disgusting on every level.
And get stranded?
If there's a hurricane coming, why would I do that? In addition, I'm sure that they're not allowed to do that. So I'm going to risk my job for you? No. Derek is like, I'm trying to take my ass to bed. So Titus is leaving. Once he leaves, we see there's a rope that ends up tightening around Derek's ankle. And when it's taut, he ends up getting pulled into the water by who he assumes is Titus, playing a prank on him. Well, as he's pulling himself out of the water, we see that it's not, in fact, Titus playing a prank. It is, in fact, Ben Willis in his slicker, and he's made it to the island. He's standing over Derek. He raises his hook and he ends up slicing Derek. Blood sprays and Derek is dead. And that is the second on screen kill.
These people just get knocked off quickly.
Well, it's a sequel, so bigger body count. So Titus can kind of hear some commotion is happening by the boats, but he just dismisses it and keeps going, which is probably good for him. Not so great for Derek. So Derek is dead, and then we get a shot of Bruce Ray with his arm in a sling, and he's using a payphone to call the resort. But because it's the off season, there's like literally nobody there to answer, so he can't get in touch with anybody to warn Julie. So now back at the resort, we get this scene where the housekeeper is going through rooms when she notices that her hands are covered in blood. So when she goes back to her cart, she finds a set of sheets completely soaked in blood. And as she's examining them, we see the room door that is directly behind her open up and Ben Willis emerges. She turns around and she only has time to let out a scream before Ben Willis slices her with his hook, knocking her to the ground. He then jams his hook into her back, picks her up, and carries her off into the room and slams the door. And that's the third on screen kill.
Dropping like flies.
Yes. So meanwhile, Carla and Tyrell have decided to hang out at the jacuzzi that night. So they're really trying to hook up, but Carla can't find her hair tie. She doesn't want her hair to get wet, but she can't find it anywhere. And Tyrell is getting really antsy to hook up. It's really kind of the only thing that's on his mind for a majority of this trip.
He's annoying.
Sometimes, yes. He gets better as it goes on.
Okay, you tell me. You tell me when he gets better, you remind me so I can know. Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So they're forgetting about the hair tie and they go back to making out when Titus pops up in the pool next to them, annoying them, being himself, but ultimately he ends up fucking off and they go back to hooking up when out of nowhere, annoying Magoo Will shows up and Tyrell is really over it at this point. Carla asks Will about Julie, how is she doing? And Carla ends up telling him not to give up so easily and to just hang in there. And I'm like, what kind of person would want to be with someone that's willing to cheat on their significant other? Because that's what they want her to do, right? They want her to cheat on Ray.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tyrell haven't said anything.
Tyrell is like, I don't give a fuck about either one of these people on this trip. He's like, Carla invited these two mayonnaise sandwiches. I am just trying to hook up with my girlfriend in the Bahamas. Tyrell does not care, honestly, about Julie, Will, or whoever the hell Julie's boyfriend is. He's so disconnected from them. But Carla and Will really want Julie to just like cheat on her boyfriend. I think that's insane.
I also think it's a very insane thing to say in front of your boyfriend.
That too. Agreed.
You scandalous.
Will then settles into the jacuzzi with them, and we cut back to the room where Julie is taking a shower, and she hears a noise. She looks around the room, doesn't find anything, so she tries to calm herself down because they are on an island in the middle of the Bahamas after all. But as she's doing this, she's looking around to brush her teeth. She cannot find her toothbrush anywhere. So she gives up on that. She starts drying her hair, flips her hair over, and then she definitely hears the sound of their room door closing. and we as the audience can see Ben Willis quickly walk behind her, but she doesn't see that.
I know that slicker make noise.
That's Dante. Not only is he wearing that thick rubber ass slicker, but you know he's wearing like boots. He's not tiptoeing around this room.
He stink.
And he's fishy. No. You're telling me this man doesn't leave an odor in any room that he walks into? I call your bluff. This man is funky, I know it.
Literally. Literally.
I know that he didn't wash his ass the entire time he's been on this island. I know it. So he's sweaty, he's lifting bodies, ass stinking. And you're gonna tell me that she doesn't hear footsteps, that heavy ass slicker, and doesn't smell his funky fishy ass? I don't believe it. But she's in the room, she's looking around, she doesn't see anything, doesn't notice anything. All of a sudden, she can hear a little bit of a creaking sound coming from the armoire in the room. When she opens it, it's empty. But as she's looking around, she notices some blood dripping from the ceiling. And then all of a sudden, Derek, the dockhand guy, his body drops down and he is hanging by his neck, missing an eye and totally covered in blood. So Julie screams rightfully, and she runs down to the jacuzzi to find the rest of the group to tell them what just happened. Because surely they'll believe her, right? There's a body in her room, tons of blood. So they go get Brooks, the hotel manager, to come to the room, and they all check the armoire together. When Brooks opens it, there is, of course, no body. And not only is there no body, but the armoire is spotless. Not a drop of blood on anything. No sign that anything ever happened in there. Brooks is pissed because he thinks that they're playing a trick on him. And you can actually see Will, Carla, and Tyrell when Brooks opens the armoire, and the looks on their faces are like, damn, we didn't think Julie was this crazy. You know, like we knew that she was off, but this is embarrassing. But Julie is just very insistent that there was a body in the armoire. It was Derek, the dockhand guy, but nobody believes her. So Brooks is like, okay, I'll concede. We'll just check on Derek in the morning. But in the meantime, everyone needs to slow down on the dark and stormies and they need to get some sleep. So that's when Julie says that she wants off the island. And Brooks tells her that that's not possible because the last ferry left hours ago, as we saw, and there's a storm coming. So nobody will be able to leave the island for a couple of days. So Julie says that she's just going to call for a boat. But Brooks informs her that the phone lines are down. So she checks it herself. And lo and behold, the phones are down. So Carla asks about using the radio, but Brooks tells them that the radio is for emergencies only. And he does not consider this situation an emergency. He just thinks that they're spoiled city kids who wouldn't know a hurricane if it blew up there, but Tyrell intimidates him before he finishes that sentence because he is getting kind of crazy right now. So that's when Brooks tells them, like, look, all we can do right now is just batten down, and if the weather gets too bad, we have a storm shelter. He then tells them good night and he takes his ass to bed. So then we get this little shot of Estes, who is up in his room, and we see that he's performing some kind of ritual, and we actually see him burning a toothbrush, just kind of repeating some phrases. And then we also get a scene with Titus, who is sitting down in his little
Bungalow.
yeah. Yeah, he's sitting in his little bungalow off to the side of the resort, and he's setting up to smoke some pot when Ben Willis appears in front of him, and Titus has his hand sitting on his coffee table because he was looking for a lighter. So that's when Ben Willis slams his hook down straight through Titus's hand, pinning it to the table. Titus is panicking and he starts looking over at the lawn tools in his bungalow to find something to use as a weapon. But Ben Willis follows his eyes, and he turns to the garden tools, and he ends up picking up a huge pair of gardening shears, which he then uses to stab Titus in the chest, killing him. And that's the fourth on-screen kill.
Why did you have all these characters?
So they can have more kills. Because only, what, the kill count I know is last summer is 4?
4, I think.
Yeah. And, according to the rules, the sequel is always bloodier, more kills.
Yeah, but this is almost kind of silly.
Well, I do think that that's why they did it, just to bulk up the kills. While all of this is happening, we cut back to Ray, and we see him arriving to a we see him arriving to a pawn shop. So he ends up pawning Julie's engagement ring in exchange for a gun. The pawn shop owner tells him there's a 3-day wait period for the gun. Ray says, "I'm not waiting. Load the gun." So then we cut to the next day, back at the resort. The group is waking up after all sleeping in the same bed, which has
It
pissed
was silly.
Tyrell off. Nobody could sleep on the sofa?
Right, because this is just silly.
There's just a lot of things they could have done, but they all slept in the same bed.
Because they fools.
But when Julie wakes up, she immediately checks the phones. Still dead. But now at this point, it started raining outside. So the storm is starting. So this is Tyrell at his most asshole. It's like peak asshole here because he is essentially calling Julie crazy, which is way out of line. And I get it. He does not know Julie. He doesn't have really any connection to her. He really, realistically, he's only been dating Carla 3 months. So, Tyrell, you don't really know any of these people, but the trip is not going the way that he thought, and he's being a real fucking asshole about it. But Carla comforts Julie, and she suggests that they all get out of this room because you should. And she's like, "Well, let's just go to the gym. We'll go to the gym together, and the guys can find something to do together." Which again irritates Ty because he's like, "I don't want to do anything with Will. I want to do something with you." And Carla's like,
Can you be an adult?
"Yes, thank you.
Can you be normal?
My friend is going through something right now. Just shut the fuck up."
And it's the morning time. We ain't even ate yet. Like, can you chill?
Well, they end up sticking with this plan. So Julie and Carla go down to the gym and they get there, but Julie is still feeling down. So Carla suggests that Julie spend some time in the tanning bed, which should brighten up her spirits. And Carla is just going to stay in the gym and use the punching bag. So at this point, we are flashing back and forth between the two groups. So we're flashing back and forth between Will and Tyrell, who are trying to find something to do, and then Carla and Julie. So now the guys are heading to Titus's place because he is like the outdoorsman guy. So they're looking for some type of equipment to do some indoor games like ping pong paddles, pool sticks, stuff like that. While Carla is in the gym, she starts to hear some loud thumping coming from the laundry room area. So she follows the noise and she finds that the thumping is coming from the industrial sized dryer. She goes to investigate. When she opens the dryer, she finds the bloody body of the maid being tossed around. And so she starts screaming. Meanwhile, Ty and Will barge into Titus's place and they find him dead on his sofa with a gaping hole in his chest, blood everywhere. Now, while all of that is happening, in the tanning room, Julie has her headphones in, so she can't hear when Ben Willis comes into the room and he uses a zip tie around the handle of the tanning bed, essentially locking it shut. He then turns the tanning bed up to the max temperature and leaves. When Julie tries to open the tanning bed as it's getting too hot, she realizes it is stuck and she lets out a blood-curdling scream, which ends up alerting the guys, so they rush over to the gym. So Carla is also still freaking out, and she realizes that she's kind of locked in this laundry room. And that's when Ty comes, he breaks her out, pulls her out, and then they rush over to save Julie. When they enter the tanning room, Julie is freaking out in the tanning bed, and Tyrell is trying to pry it open, but he can't. It's a really tense moment, but I do want to talk about it.
Turn the machine off.
Dante, I was about to say the same fucking thing. The movie does its movie thing and is making this like the utmost tension. It's like that scene in Saw when he was like, "You can either capture me or save this guy." There's two of you. You could do both.
Surprise, surprise.
Right. Well, it's a false tension because it's like just unplug the machine and then y'all can take as long as you want.
Go get some scissors.
Yeah, to find something to cut her out here. But Tyrell, and I get it, they're panicking. Tyrell never stops trying to pull it open. Tyrell, you're not going to pull it open. Zip ties are pretty fucking strong.
What a quality product.
Zip ties are that girl. There's a reason that like there are law enforcement agencies that use zip ties to hold prisoners' arms together. Like they're strong as fuck. Tyrell, you're not opening this fucking tanning bed. What are we doing? But then when you realize you wouldn't be able to open it, you didn't even try to find some. Tyrell would have let that girl cook alive in there just to try to pry these fucking zip ties open. I'm befuddled. Tyrell, do something else. And then, I love Carla, but she's just kind of standing there when Carla, you know how the tanning bed works. Just turn it off.
You turned it on.
You're the one that turned it on. Yeah. Turn the shit off. But they don't. So it's high tension. And this scene is always like kind of silly to me because like Julie's panicking. Okay, I get it. But let's try to bring it down a notch. The movie's making it more intense than I think it needs to be. But whatever. Okay, so Will ends up picking up a dumbbell and he's like, just break it, break the handles off. So Tyrell uses the dumbbell, breaks the handles off, and he pulls Julie out. So now Julie's like, I told you I wasn't fucking crazy. Ben Willis is here. We need to get the fuck off this island.
And at this point, everybody need to be on brand.
Dante.
Nobody in this space right now should be questioning, trying to be sly, slick, have an attitude, on brand, hard. We need to just be all on the same page. No bullshit. Because we all saw dead bodies.
Not just dead bodies, mutilated
bodies.
It doesn't quite go the way that we're hoping that it will go, right? So she's like, we need to get the fuck off this island. So they want to use the radio because, in Carla's words, this classifies as a fucking emergency. So the group runs to find Brooks. When they enter his office, he is dead. They find his body still sitting at his desk with a machete in his head and the words, I still know, scrawled on the wall behind him in blood.
So what does that mean?
Nagdante.
What does that mean, everybody? Because I told y'all last night, and I saw in the karaoke lyrics, I still know what you did last summer. Now we are all seeing dead bodies, and somebody has written in blood, I still know. So just so we all clear, before we leave out this room, we all on the same page that Ben Willis, everything I'm telling you is real. So you're not questioning. Okay.
But Dante, it doesn't go that way. And I am so fucking weary because they run out of here. So they notice that the radio has been smashed. That is no longer an option. So Julie's like, word, let's get in these fucking boats. She's like, I will boat in a hurricane off of this bitch because the way that Brooks died is insane. I don't want to die like that. So she runs to the docks to find the boats. Lo and behold, the boats are gone. Somebody cut the lines. That's when the group is like, Julie, what's going on? Julie's like,
And this is when Julie becomes a top tier character. Because at this point, she seems to be the only person who understands this is a horror movie.
Everybody's like, what's going on? Did you see Brooks? He had a machete in his head and not stabbed with the pointy end, cut with the like in his head, the flat end. He got fucked around. Titus had a hole in his chest. Okay?
There was a maid in a dryer. Y'all.
She was kind of smoking when they opened it because she was so hot from being tossed around in the...
Carla, you were locked in the room. Julie was locked in there. Somebody put a zip tie. They're trying to kill us.
Straight up.
She has said to us that this man is on the island, so everything you say going forward, we get it. So what we gotta do so we don't die by garden shears. I don't want that to happen.
But she's been telling you since last night you didn't believe her that Derek the dockhand guy was dead. Okay. You didn't find the body. Sure, I guess. Now you have found all these other bodies.
A message that said, I still know.
Dante, in blood.
In blood.
Well, they ask her what the hell is going on. So Julie turns around and she's like, let me break this down remedial style for y'all.
We're all gonna die.
Dante, no, straight up. Straight up.
She
doesn't sugarcoat that shit at all.
Julie, who's doing this?
So Julie's like, look, okay, the man's name is Ben Willis. I've said his name 67 times since we've been on this island, but let me repeat it one more time for the hoes in the back. I'm telling you, the man's name is Ben Willis. I cannot say it any clearer. We are all gonna die. We need to be prepared for that. I hope you've made peace with God. That's the issue here. So then Carla reminds Julie, she's like, Julie, you killed Ben Willis. But that's when Julie reveals that they never found Ben's body, which apparently none of them knew.
They scoffed at her when she said Ben Willis. They were like, not this shit again. What do you mean, not this shit again?
Oh, wait, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I glossed over that. When they said, what's going on? Who's gonna kill us? She says Ben Willis, and they roll their fucking eyes. Tyrell, specifically. I am so fucking weary because what the fuck? What do you think the message written in blood means? Who do you think it's for?
What do you mean, not this shit again? What are you talking about?
What do you mean, not this? There's 4 dead bodies thus far. Dante, my blood pressure is through the damn roof because I am so... Okay, my chest hurts. I'm trying to calm down. Let's keep going. Okay, so he rolls his eyes. So she tells him that...
Never found the body.
Never found the body. So that's when Julie goes into the whole story. Because she's like, I need to break this down. This is the No Child Left Behind group, okay? So she tells them that she and her friends hit Ben Willis with their car. They threw his body in the water to cover it up, only he didn't die. Instead, he came back. He ended up killing her friends. She thought that she and Ray had killed him, but they never found the body. He apparently is not really dead, and now he's going to kill all of them. Tyrell doesn't believe it. Tyrell doesn't believe it.
Okay, so when are you gonna die? Because you in the way.
Yes.
You have to die, and I need you to make sure that your death is violent, because you just saw all this, and your response is, well, who else could it be? But don't fret, guys. Tyrell has an answer for us. He has an answer.
Dante, I'm confused. So he's like, we're in the middle of nowhere on a remote island. How could Ben Willis even know that we were here? This is Dante.
She was like,
Dante.
Julie was like, I can't handle this. Please kill me now.
That would be an extremely valid question if y'all had on a whim decided to book a trip with Southwest and come to the Bahamas on your own accord. But lest we not forget, these tickets just fell into your lap yesterday or the day before yesterday. Let's think about that. Had anybody stopped in this moment and actually thought any of this through, it makes a lot of sense that Ben Willis would know you were here. Like, am I wrong?
He paid for your trip.
This man came out of pocket to pay for you to come to the Bahamas. Dante, it would have immediately clicked in my mind. This is a setup.
Scam? Likely. Who's doing this?
Ben Willis, aka Scam Likely. It would have immediately clicked in my head. And Tyrell doesn't get it. Okay, Tyrell is remedial. We know that. But I don't understand why Julie doesn't get it either.
Makai Pfeiffer, he's like, I know who did this.
He's just being real fucking dense right now.
He's being real movie-like.
Yes. Movie dense. It's driving me
Crazy.
Dante. So then he says that it's Estes, the bellman, who's worked here for like 45 years, never done anything like this. It has to be Estes.
We didn't tip him.
It's like, I knew this was going to come back and that's when he's like, oh, he's the only body we haven't found yet. How do y'all even know? Y'all haven't even taken the time to like go down the list of people that you found. Like, did y'all go over this? Y'all also haven't found Nancy. You don't know who's on the island. So Tyrell is like, I believe that it's Estes. I really don't know where that's coming from. That is just like the movie needed to do something.
The silliest shit.
Right. So he's like, I believe it's Estes. He's the only body we haven't found. So they decide to go confront them. But before they leave, Carla is very disappointed in Julie because she is like, I'm your best friend. Why didn't you tell me the whole truth? And Julie says she didn't really want to involve anybody else. And Carla is like, well, it's too late for that now. Is it? I thought that y'all thought it was Estes. In which case, none of this shit is my fault. Like, which is it? Or do you believe me that it's Ben Willis? Or do you think that Estes is just flipped and started killing people? Because then what the fuck are you mad at me about?
Julie didn't call people a bitch enough in this movie, for my opinion.
Whatever. Of course, Will is on board with Tyrell. He's like, I'm gonna go find Estes. Carla's on board with Tyrell. So she's like, Julie, like, you can come or you can stay. And Julie's like, okay, I guess I'll go with y'all to find Estes on the off chance that it is him.
When it's obviously not. But okay.
When it's obviously not, because why would Estes write, I still know?
Y'all not thinking.
No. But okay. While all of this is happening, we cut back to good old Ray. Which is really kind of crazy. And I did see somebody, when I was looking up critiques of this movie, one thing that somebody said that they didn't like about the movie was that it was shot poorly. I guess maybe like cut poorly.
The editing is very strange. Because now Ray's doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah, so when I say that we're cutting to Ray, I would just like to say that we're cutting to Ray on like the third leg of this trip because Ray has been traveling literally day and night on every type of mode of transportation imaginable. And I do agree that the cutting, because that was a really tense scene. We just discovered like 4 bodies in a row. Julie just made this confession. They've seen the I still know written in blood. All of that's happening. We're like, Julie just almost died. We're like really hyped up at this point. Like this, it's like a pivotal peak moment in the movie. And then it totally comes to an abrupt stop so that we can cut to Ray. And that's kind of like weird editing. It pulls you out of the scene, right?
Especially for what we're about to see.
Right. So they all run off to find Estes. And then while all of this is happening, cut to Ray, and he's traveling. He's on a Greyhound, and he's really fucked up. His arm is in a sling. He has pain medicine. So this is after he's gotten the gun. And this old lady is like looking at him taking these painkillers, probably assuming that he's a junkie because he looks really bad. He's really bruised up from this fall that he had. And then we cut back to the island, and I was like, what was the point?
to show how much he's traveling. But I think, like I said it before, they should have thought of a better way to integrate Ray into this movie. This was a very, very bad decision.
I agree. Because that cut came out of nowhere. I didn't even make a note of it because I was like, it sounds crazy to keep stopping the podcast to cut back to Ray. But yes, now we're cutting back on the island, and the group is going through Estes' room. He's not in there, but they've broken in. And Tyrell is just, I mean, convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that Estes is the killer because of the unusual religious stuff that Estes has in his room.
Decolonize your mind, motherfucker.
I agree. Tyrell, come on now.
I digress.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, but that's his proof. So while they're looking around, Julie ends up finding a kind of altar set up, and it has a lot of candles, there's bones, there's chicken feet, and other religious items. That's when they find in this shrine area Carla's missing hair tie. They also find Julie's missing toothbrush, which we saw Estes burning earlier. And then they also find Tyrell's chain, which I don't even think that he'd realize was missing. They don't find anything of Will's
Wills.
though. Yeah. So, just something to note. They determine that Estes has been practicing voodoo and they decide that they need to arm themselves and do what they can to make it off of this island. So the guys go to look for flashlights and any weapons they can, and they leave the women in the lobby to wait for them because they think that that'll be the safest place for them. And that's when the power goes out in the whole hotel. While they're in the lobby, Julie notices a large globe that's in the middle of the room. It's spinning, and as she goes to look at it, she sees a map of Brazil. And as she's looking at it, it's at that moment that Estes stands up behind her and tells her that Brasilia is the capital of Brazil, not Rio de Janeiro, which is true. Julie can see it right there on the globe. So Carla starts to freak out, and the guys run in and they start to attack Estes, believing that he's the killer just because of the voodoo, which shame on you.
Very precious.
Yes. But Estes denies being a killer and says that he found the bodies that morning just like they did, and he didn't hurt anyone, but instead stole their things in order to protect them. Julie believes him because, of course, she does, because she knows who's doing all of this. But she says he could have easily killed her just now, but he didn't. And it's at this point, finally, after she had to be handheld through the realization that this entire trip was a setup because Rio is not even the capital of Brazil.
But even at that point, people are still not.
Dante,
And this is like I told you, I know you like who you like, but I don't like Tyrell throughout the whole movie.
well, let's keep going. So Tyrell is pissing me off in this moment, yes, because the evidence at this point is insurmountable that it's fucking Ben Willis. I'm like so mad confused because that answered your question. Your whole reasoning for why it couldn't be Ben Willis was that we're on this island in the middle of nowhere. How would you know where we are? How would he get here? We just fucking revealed that the whole thing was a setup. I feel like the answers couldn't be any more clear. I don't know. So that's when he starts to argue with Julie about Ben Willis, and he's saying if he is real, then where is he? Which is really frustrating because Ben Willis is a very real person. Look at the police reports from last year. What are you talking about?
If you think I knew what Ben Willis was, you think I would have came to the fucking island? Are you out of your mind? Ben
That
Willis is the
too.
last person I ever want to see. Do you not understand?
But I hate that he words it like if Ben Willis is real. What are you talking about? Has that been a question to you? Because I guess because you don't know me, you think that I made Ben Willis up? You can check the fucking newspaper and find out that's not true. Like, what are we talking about right now? But it's at that point that Estes chimes in and he tells the group that he knows Ben Willis. He actually used to work at the resort, and he said that he's been seeing him lately on the island and offers to take them where he's been hanging out. So Will is really hesitant to do that, which is totally understandable. But the rest of the group thinks that they probably should go out looking for him because they think that the best defense is a good offense. Like, it's better than kind of just hanging out like sitting ducks in the hotel. Maybe they'll be better off in the open. So they tell Estes to take them there.
So so Ben Willis been traveling backwards and forwards,
Yeah, I guess so, because he had to come to the island to prepare that grave for Julie.
which was
Um,
just kind of mean spirited, personally, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree, especially when you consider the fact that her friend accidentally hit you with their car and she wanted to call the police to save you, but her friends made her swear not to. They threw you in the water and you already killed her friends, but now you hate her so much that you paid money to put them on flights, to pay for this boat, to pay for the rooms in this hotel. I guess he's like, I'll just rob the register in the hotel when all this is over and get my money back. You did all of this to and dug this fucking grave just to get Julie out here because her friends accidentally hit you like 3 years ago?
While you were leaving a crime scene from a murder that you committed, I want people to know that this is the most pettiest motherfucker I've ever experienced in the history of this podcast.
Yes.
Like, what?
It's no, on its face it is insane.
And you're a bad person because now we're figuring out, yeah, you killed David because he killed Susie, but you killed your wife.
Yeah, so you no, just straight up, you are a murderer. You murdered your wife, and we don't know why, but I can guarantee you that it wasn't justified because Davis wasn't justified. They got into a car accident.
This is crazy.
Yes.
I don't feel like they let the characters enough just pause for a minute and have a moment to be like, you did all this?
Yes.
I apologized.
Literally. No, literally. Dante, I'm just thinking about him getting the funds together to book a flight of 4. It didn't even look like it looked like they were in like business class.
He sold fish plates.
Right, to like fund this murder expedition. I just think on its face it's really crazy. But okay, this is when we cut back to Ray. He's made it all the way to, I guess, like Miami, the mainland, and he is meeting up with the boat captain, the one that initially brought the group to the island. He's telling the captain that he needs to go to Tower Bay Island, but the captain is like, "Boy, there's a fucking hurricane happening outside right now." But Ray really isn't trying to hear any of that. So instead, he just pulls a gun on this elderly man. And he tells him, he said, "I ain't looking for a weather report, bitch."
Okay, Otis.
He said, "I need a boat." And then he steals this man's boat. Straight up. Cuz the man's like, "I'm not bringing you. It's a hurricane. You know, whether I want to be robbed or not." He's probably hoping that Ray just goes and dies somewhere and he'll get his boat back later. So that's all that happens with Ray. And then we cut back to the group. An insane place to cut the movie. But yes. So Ray took a Greyhound. He ran on foot, taking a boat. It's just a lot.
He robbed a man, pawned a ring.
He did. Yeah, Ray is on the brink of insanity at this point. But he's like, he has to get to Julie because he has no way of warning her, and he just knows that Ben Willis is going to go to this island. So that's what Ray's up to. So now cutting back to the group. Estes is walking them through the woods around the resort, and he's telling them all about Ben Willis. He tells him about how Ben Willis worked at the resort for many years. He had a beautiful wife, 2 children, a boy and a girl, the girl being Susie, which we know from the first movie. One day, the wife went missing, and the maid found blood all over room 201, which is where Julie has been staying. And eventually, they found the wife, or more like pieces of her body, and nobody knows exactly the reason why, but they do know that Ben Willis did kill her. So Ben and the children disappeared back then, and now Estes believes that Ben Willis is back. So that's when Julie walks up to some graves and headstones, and one reads Sarah Willis, so that was his wife, Susan Willis, Susie, his daughter, which we know died in Southport a few years ago and was presumably buried here. And then there is another dug but empty grave that has a headstone, but on it is spray painted in red Julie James 1979 to 1998. So Julie then asks what today's date is, and that's when Carla confirms that today is July 4th. So this is Ben Willis's day. And Julie is like, fuck that. I'm not going to die here. And so she starts yelling into the abyss because we know that that is Julie James's thing. And she tells Ben that if he wants her to come and get her, but her grave is staying empty. And Carla's like, hold on now, girl. Don't threaten him. She's like, we literally have no way off of this island. And Julie just says, then they need to fight. And I'm absolutely certain that that's not the answer that Carla was looking for.
But you wanted to fight Estes.
Tyrell wanted to fight Estes.
You was running behind them.
She was.
Carry on.
So that's when Will notices that Estes is gone and he decides to run off to find him. Ridiculous. While the rest of the group heads back to the hotel. At the hotel, the group is arming themselves in the kitchen, and Tyrell is telling Julie, this is the part that I'm talking about. So this is when I feel as though he softens a bit.
Finally.
Well, yes. But Carla is very scared. Obviously, Julie is scared, but really trying to come to terms with like what's happening, what needs to go on. And so everybody's getting their knives. And he turns to Julie to comfort her and he tells her that they're going to get this fucker. But then first he wants to check the pantry for some food because he's fucking hungry. So now while they go to do that, we get a shot of Will and he's found Estes, who is dragging a rowboat out to the water. And so Will is like, you should have told us that you had a boat. Will can't really hear what he's saying, but he says, we're not going anywhere. He's just dragging this boat out so that nobody can leave the island. That's when Estes takes one of the oars from the boat and smacks Will in the face with it. So we cut back to Ray. We're getting this shot of Ray. He's finally on the damn boat. He's making his way to the island and he's calling, trying to request emergency assistance over the radio. But at this point, the weather is really, really bad. It's storming. They're in the middle of a hurricane. But it does seem like he's making it.
It is so dark.
It's so dark. It would be so dark on that water. He would have zero visibility. In addition to the rain, he would have surely crashed. But I guess it's like love is guiding him. But then we cut back to the group. So we're cutting back to Julie, Tyrell, and Carla. They are in the pantry looking for food when they hear a noise. It turns out to be Nancy, who is still alive, and she's been hiding in the pantry. But when they find her, she comes out and she beats Tyrell with a rolling pin before the ladies stop her because she's like, I don't know who the killer is. For all I know, you could be the killer, which is smart.
Nancy is top 3 characters in this movie.
I agree. I love Nancy. So now everyone is standing around in the kitchen while Tyrell is icing his bruised face. But Nancy really wants to know, like, who is doing all of this? Like, what do they know? And Tyrell is like, don't even get us started. It's a long story that you probably won't believe anyway. And he then goes on a mini rant, right, about how this is the worst vacation of his life. He's tired, he's hungry, he's horny, and he hasn't seen any sign of this alleged psycho killer.
Pause. What do you mean?
He hasn't laid eyes on Ben Willis himself. Even though we've seen 4 mutilated bodies,
And a grave with Julie's name on it.
it's not enough. He wants to lay eyes on Ben Willis.
Okay.
So, okay, he says this. At that exact moment, Ben Willis is like, word? He's been hiding inside the large air vent that's above the stove. Then he jumps down and he runs his hook straight through Tyrell's throat, so into the neck, out the throat. And he lifts Tyrell up off of his feet by his throat before unhooking him and letting him just like crash down to the floor. And that's the 5th on-screen kill.
Great.
He then looks at Julie before the women start running, and they end up running to an attic area. Ben Willis is following closely behind them, walking with a purpose. As the women are walking through the attic area, Nancy tells them that they have to stay on the beams because if not, just like any attic area, they'll fall through. So they're walking on the beams, and that's when Julie looks down and she sees that there's a two-way mirror above her bed in the honeymoon suite, and she can see straight down from where she is, suggesting that Ben Willis has been watching her.
That's so creepy.
It's very creepy. Nancy tells them they need to keep moving, and they are doing that, except Ben Willis ends up breaking through the attic door, and it startles Carla, and she ends up fumbling, and her foot goes through the floor, and it gets stuck. And she cannot for the life of her pull her foot up out this fucking hole. She can't do it. But Nancy comes over, she helps Carla. She eventually pulls her foot out, but by that point, Ben Willis has made it to her. And he takes a swipe at her very close, but she grabs his arm and they end up toppling backwards through that two-way mirror and landing on the bed below. This is about to be the start of Carla's chase scene. So this is like the equivalent of Helen's chase scene in the first movie. I actually did poll on our social media, and I was very, very surprised to see that it seems like just a few more people prefer this chase scene over Helen's chase scene. And I thought that was super interesting.
Probably because they don't like that Helen died.
Maybe. I did see a lot of people, and they have excellent points, that Carla is about to get razor close to getting killed like 17 times. She's about to fall through 36 sheets of glass in this whole chase scene. I mean, she is really fighting for her life, so maybe it might be just a tad more entertaining to watch. I don't know. But they fall on the bed. Carla bounces back up, keeps running. Carla's working her ass off, which I really do appreciate. She ends up jumping off of the balcony onto the roof of a greenhouse below them, just as Ben Willis is like slashing at her, taking a swipe with his hook. I mean, he barely misses her. So Julie is looking down at all of this from the attic, and she wants to go help Carla, obviously. And Nancy's like, girl, she is never gonna make it. We need to look out for ourselves. And Julie's like, bitch, get off of me. I don't even know you. And so Nancy doesn't have a choice, so she follows her. I don't know, if I was Nancy, I might have just like wrote it out somewhere.
Ivan, you're right. You are 100% right. You are right, Julie. I don't know you.
Yeah, go get your girl. And I would have found some place to hide. because, like, this is not my fight. He's not looking for me.
That grave said Julie James.
Yeah,
Not Nancy Dark and Stormy.
it did not. I didn't see Nancy's name anywhere on there. So, meanwhile, Carla is standing on this greenhouse. She's slowly trying to take steps, but underneath her, the glass is starting to crack. So, for some strange reason, she ends up putting her full weight on one of these panes of glass. And it's like storming, right? So it's very wet. The glass is cracking. She's panicking. And she ends up slipping and falling backwards through the glass of the greenhouse and landing on the floor below, which I'm sure hurt really, really badly. But also, she's lucky she didn't die. She is super beat up, but she is able to get up and she walks over to the doors of the greenhouse, but they're chained closed. So just then, Julie and Nancy show up, and Nancy runs to get the keys to open the padlock on the door. But as they're looking for the right key, that's when Julie sees Ben Willis enter the greenhouse from the other side and slowly starts making his way towards Carla, hook drawn. So Nancy cannot find the right key. She is really fumbling here. So Julie decides to use an axe that's on the wall to break the chain, but that's going to take too long. It's not working. So instead, she breaks one of the glass window panes on the door, and Carla starts to climb through. And she's almost through when Ben Willis actually slams his hook down, and he actually ends up nicking Carla's ankle and shoe, but she does make it through in time and they're able to run off and they head to the storm shelter. And when I was watching that, Dante, I was like, my fat ass would have died because I was like, that glass pane is so thin. I would
Could you
not have been
imagine?
able.
Me neither.
Dante. And she wouldn't have had time to widen that thing big enough for me to fit through it. And Ben Willis would have been like, let me kill this fat bitch before she tries to climb her fat ass up this window.
My one leg would have been stuck.
Dante, I don't even know if I would have had the upper body strength to like pull myself out of the window. I would have been like, y'all, I can't do it. Go on without me. I don't even think your shoulders could have fit the width of this
No,
door.
not at all.
No, we would have been goners.
We would have had to fight. We would have had to fight them.
Dante!
First, we would have been on the beams like, oh, hell.
Dante, stop, because I was thinking when Carla's foot went through the ceiling, I was like, my fat ass would have gone in to the hip because I would plummeted through that roof. And then she was standing on the greenhouse, I would have gone through as soon as I hit it. I am a boulder. I would have gotten so fucked up. But Brandy is working. Brandy is working. But I'm just all I have to say is thank God she's thin because I know I wouldn't have made it.
I like that when they're when they're trying to open the greenhouse door, they turn the score off. So it's just like you can hear the rain.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really cool part of the movie. And then when he opens the door and the music comes back on.
Yes, it's very tense. It really turns up the drama. The score starts and it's
Dramatic.
It's super dramatic. But she does make it. So they're running to the storm shelter. And when they get there, Nancy starts looking around for some emergency power. And Julie tells Carla to take her hand because it's dark. Carla is trying to talk to Julie when Julie just cuts her off and she just insists that Carla grab a hold of her hand. So Carla's like irritated and she's like, Julie, I am holding your hand. But Julie turns around and she's like, girl, no, you're not. Just then, Nancy flips the power on and they look and they find that Carla is actually holding hands with the corpse of the dead maid.
Who's still warm from the dryer?
That's what that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, maybe the dryer kept her warm. I don't know, but wouldn't she be stiff? But whatever. So they start screaming, and that's when they start looking around and they start noticing all the dead bodies have now been collected and they're piled in this room. So that's when Will opens the door to the storm shelter. He's come to save them. They follow him back to the resort.
Where you been?
Good question.
Because we've been up and down this hotel. Kitchen, attic, green room, bedrooms. We've been all around this hotel, up and down. Where have you been?
Well, he is injured when they find him. So his stomach is covered in blood and he's wincing, and he tells them about how Estes attacked him down on the beach.
But we've already seen Ben Willis, so the Estes story is dead. Where you been?
Well, in his defense, Estes did attack him.
This is true.
That is true, but let's continue. That's when he tells them that he thinks that they should head back inside the hotel. Nancy thinks that that's a bad idea because remember, Ben Willis found them in the hotel. Will insists that the last time he saw the fisherman was down by the beach because that's where he was.
He just let you go?
Well, once they're inside, Will collapses into a chair and Julie stays with him, and she asks Nancy and Carla to go find a first aid kit. Nancy is very hesitant. You can tell that she feels very strange about this.
Because it's not adding up to her.
This is fishy. This is not making sense. But Will just assures her that the fisherman is gone. He's really like motioning for her keep going in the hotel, but if you see the look on her face, she's looking back like something about this does not feel right. But Carla's urging her on because remember, Julie and Carla are like Will's friends. So they're just reacting as if they see their friend is hurt. So they're just like, come on, come on, come on, let's go. Nancy's like, something about this feels really off. But they end up going, and Julie starts to try to tend to Will's wound. So there's blood everywhere, but as she's searching his stomach, she notes that she cannot seem to find a wound. And that's when Will very casually tells her that it's because it's not his blood. So Julie is confused, and he reiterates that this is not his blood. So Julie slowly starts to back up as the realization is dawning on her of what is happening right now. And that's when Will asks her what's her favorite radio station in the same voice as the radio DJ that called them that morning when they won the trip.
Stressed.
Absolutely. Will then gets the creepiest grin on his face. And he all of a sudden jumps up, he grabs her by the wrist, and he does the whole radio spiel in his radio voice. What's your favorite radio station? And Julie is distraught. That's when Will starts to drag Julie out of the hotel. While all of that is happening, Carla and Nancy are still trying to locate this first aid kit when Estes walks in. Estes has been impaled with a long harpoon spear. It's been jammed through his back, and the tip is sticking out of his chest. And he ends up falling down on top of Nancy, dying there, just as Ben Willis appears. Nancy is now stuck under Estes's dead weight, and she can't seem to move him as Ben Willis approaches the two. He then takes the handle of the harpoon that's sticking out of Estes's back, and he pushes it all the way down through Nancy until it hits the floor underneath her. And that's the 6th and 7th on-screen kills.
It's really unfair how they did my girl.
I didn't like that. I didn't appreciate the way that Nancy died. And in my mind, I don't know, I just kept thinking, I feel like I could have crawled out from underneath Estes. I don't know. Carla also doesn't even really offer to help her, right?
Nancy, like, I should have killed y'all when y'all came in my hide space and left. Locked it back up.
I know. And I know that Nancy it was probably running through her head like, damn, I shouldn't have fucking gone with y'all. I should have been like, I don't know you. let me stay in my hiding place, and now look, Nancy's dead.
It's really hurtful because she realistically was, in my opinion, one of the best parts of this movie. She's actually made it more enjoyable for me personally.
No, I agree with that.
Because I don't honestly care for Carla or Will or Tyrell.
Okay. Heard. I also think that Nancy is a very enjoyable character. I do like Carla, but I also like Nancy. I was sad to see her die.
I wish that we could have got more Nancy.
Yeah, everybody on the island, though, the movie really is just treating them as like fodder.
Real father, and I just feel that if we could have integrated Ray better in the movie instead of having his B plot, we could have gotten some, maybe Ray and Nancy, maybe she would have made Julie feel jealous. Like, maybe they could have been like a little quadruple thing. Could have been something. Just something we could have got some more Nancy because she was just great. And she understood the assignment. Run.
Yes.
Hide.
Yes.
Trust nobody.
Yes.
Where were you all that time?
Right. So Ben then walks over to attack Carla and he takes a swipe at her, just missing her. It's extremely close. But Carla ends up jumping backwards and crashing through some glass shelves. And she lands on the floor and she's either unconscious or doing the very smart thing and just pretending to be dead.
Because that grave said Julie James.
Right. But then we cut away from her. So that's where we leave Carla. So at this point, we're cutting back to Will, who's dragging Julie into the woods. She ends up using the knife that she got earlier in the kitchen to cut his arm, but he's able to just grab her again. He punches her in the stomach and he continues dragging her. They're heading to that grave site.
It's very weird. He's like, why'd you do that? You're a bitch.
Yes. She asks him why, to just tell her why. And he's like, do you really not get it?
Me. Everything about you, Julie. I was like, wow, you really are a incel Magoo.
Which is like insane. It's a really insane combination. But that's when this is like the reveal of the movie, right? So this is the twist because we talked about this in the first one about how they could make a second one because it's like we already know who the killer is as opposed to the first one, which is a little bit more of a mystery.
Which I loved.
Yeah. This is like the twist. So he's telling her like, Julie, Will Benson, Ben's son. So that's the revelation that Will is actually Ben Willis's son. And that's when Will says, "Hi, Dad." And we turn and we see that Ben Willis has appeared behind Julie and he grabs her. He tells her that it's time to die.
No more running, no more yelling. It's
It's
time
time
to
to
die.
die. So he's just about to kill her when fucking finally Ray has shown up on the island, gun drawn, and he tells Ben Willis to let Julie go. So Ben Willis, I mean, really plays the fuck out of Ray, which I thought was super uncalled for. He says to Ray, "What are you
What
gonna
you
do?
gonna do? Call
Call
us
us
names?
names?"
So Ray's like, Ray taking the back.
I was taken aback. I was like, damn, I don't think Ray deserved that. And Ray has a gun in this situation. Ben Willis didn't even break a sweat. He was like, boy, even I know you're Magoo.
You raised this Magoo motherfucker.
Well, that's the thing. My thing is like, we talked about this when we were talking about Get Out. And you were asking about where did Rose's like real personality end and like that fake like I'm down for the cause personality start. And I was like, I think that that entire personality that she presented to Chris, I think that that was all a lie. I don't think Will is that Magoo, but the absolute insane part of this whole thing is that he thought that that was a personality that Julie would like. I guess he modeled himself after Ray, and he's like, she obviously likes Magoo, so I'm gonna bring it to the max. And Julie was falling for it too. That shit was working.
Ray is Magoo, but Ray wasn't Magoober like that.
Yeah.
They were like, damn, we've made Ray too cool. We have to ruin him and bring him back to his Magooness.
Yeah. They didn't have to.
They hate Ray for some reason, but Ray was like, look, I told y'all I'm a small town guy. I ain't never gonna meet nobody better than Julie. So if I gotta travel in Ray, I crossed the ocean
Literally. In a
to
dinghy.
get this girl. But you are right. He did I guess he did model himself after Ray because now he starts to say some outlandish shit. Ray was getting beat up and he was getting talked to any kind of way.
It was really, this is the 2-piece and a biscuit, no drink, extra spicy. He notes that Ray doesn't have it in him to be a killer.
He's like, "You're no killer, boy. That's my job." So you think this is funny? You want some villain? You want like some Disney villain shit at this point?
Yes. Yes, villain to the max.
You got one-liners.
Exactly. Did you prep these before you got here? So Ray does try to shoot Ben, but his gun fucking jams. And that's what you get for buying that gun from the pawn shop. But this gives Will the opportunity to attack Ray, and he ends up getting the better of him, beating Ray's ass. And I hated that. I was like, Ray, put up a fight.
But he's saying real crazy stuff to Ray.
Well, yeah.
We could have been friends, man. I promise. I would have shared it with you.
I thought that
Huh?
was very strange.
That should have triggered Ray to fuck him up. Because
It
that's
should
some
have.
outlandish shit to say. And that's what I'm saying. The writers be trying to play Ray.
But then he also says, I want you to think about all the things that we're going to do to her, which again should have been a trigger for Ray to fight back. Stand up.
Stand him up.
So wait, so Ben Willis tells Will, Ben's son, to stand Ray up, and so that's so Ben can kill him.
But Ray is like, oh, okay, I got you. I got you.
Right. So, yeah, so Ray may not be good in hand-to-hand combat, but he's smart and he's quick on his feet. So when Ben is charging Ray with his hook, Ray is able to elbow Will in the face at the last minute. So Will lets him go, and Ben ends up driving his hook into Will's chest by mistake. Ben then watches as blood pours from Will's mouth, and Will falls to the ground dead. And that is the 8th on-screen kill. So now Ben Willis is obviously distraught and enraged. So he is going to attack Ray when Julie, who has been given enough time to go and pick up Ray's gun, comes over and she shoots Ben 8 times in the chest until Ben falls back into the open grave that he dug for Julie. And that is the 9th on-screen kill. So then we cut to the next morning. The storm is over, the sun's coming up, and Ray and Julie stumble back to the hotel where they end up finding Carla, who is bruised and beat up but still alive because she's made of steel, which I love.
I was hiding.
Yeah, I mean, straight up. But she went through enough. She fell through every piece of glass on Tower Bay Island, so she did the right thing. So that's when the Coast Guard appears, telling them that help will be on the way shortly. Cut to sometime later, and Julie is looking great. She pulls up to her brand new house that she's bought with Ray, who has now proposed to her. And they are both getting ready for bed when Julie gets an uneasy feeling, and she goes to a room and she closes an open window, which I was like, that's very unlike Julie. She would never leave a window open like that. So that should have been a red flag, but she doesn't notice, but the camera pans down and we see some muddy boot prints on the floor. leading into the house from the window. So she walks back to her bedroom, inspecting everything, and then she sits down on her bed, telling herself to just calm down. Everything is fine. But just then she looks over at this teddy bear that she has sitting next to her bed and she notices it moving a little. And that's when she looks down. There's a mirror across from her bed, and she sees that hiding underneath her bed is Ben Willis in his slicker. And she begins to scream this blood curdling scream as Ben grabs her by the ankle, pulls her face first onto the floor, and drags her underneath the bed. And the movie then cuts to black and the credits start to roll. And that's the end of the movie.
I hate that.
Well, I mean, it's fine. It's the same deal as the shower in the first one. So the kill count is 9 on screen, maybe. You know, depending on what happened with Ben Willis. But 10 total including Brooks. The Rotten Tomatoes for this movie are abysmal. We've not covered a single movie that had Rotten Tomatoes this low before, but it's a 7% critic and a 29% audience, which I don't think is fair.
A 7% is very like
7% is flagrant, dastardly. I can't believe it's so fucking low. And then the IMDb is a 4.8 out of 10 with 79,000 reviews, which is also very low. So this movie does not have a ton of fun facts. I couldn't find a ton about this movie out there, but I did just have a few. So one thing is that the studio, they hired two writers at the same time. So one writer, Calloway, his script is the one that was ultimately chosen, but they hired a different writer as well to give them a draft. It was Stephen Gagum, I think is how you pronounce it. So he wrote a draft of the script where it was reportedly set in New Orleans.
I'm down.
That's what I said. I was like, okay, I would have liked to have seen that. And so the studio was presented with both scripts, but ultimately they went with Calloway's script and the setting was in the Bahamas. In New Orleans could have worked really well, same weather conditions. It could have been a hurricane, but I guess they liked the trapped feeling that they got with the island, which is an interesting setting and I think worked for this particular movie.
I think that would have been cooler.
Well, yeah, everything set in New Orleans is cooler, but I would have needed to know more about that script too. I'm not trying to see Ben Willis at a Mardi Gras parade. But yeah, I love New Orleans as a setting, just in general. I'm always for New Orleans being the setting for something. But yeah. So, another fact, like we discussed with I Know What You Did Last Summer, so the screenplay for that movie was written by Kevin Williamson, even before he wrote the screenplay for the first Scream movie. And a lot of people wonder why he didn't come back to write this movie. And that is because of scheduling conflicts. So there were scheduling conflicts with Dawson's Creek, which was still on the air, The Faculty, Halloween H2O, which I'm not sure a lot of people know was written by Kevin Williamson. He wrote the original story, and he wasn't credited as a writer on it, which we'll discuss more when we get to that particular movie, but that's interesting as well. But yeah, so he was in the midst of writing all of those, in addition to gearing up to direct Teaching Mrs. Tingle. So all of those things prevented Kevin Williamson from writing the screenplay for both this movie and Scream 3. That's why he wasn't involved in either of those, which is really unfortunate. Because I think that this movie and Scream 3 could have really benefited from Kevin Williamson's writing, respectfully.
Well, yeah. I mean, these sequels. Well, I mean, we get into the hit or miss. It's just like they came out so fast. It's like they could have waited.
I agree. I would rather a production company wait and put out a quality product than to just kind of pump out sequels for money. And I know that time is money. I know that the studios, when they have the idea, they want to get stuff out. Like, they probably greenlit the sequel to this movie. They probably greenlit I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, like, as soon as they saw the box office numbers for I Know What You Did Last Summer, like, probably almost immediately after, like, opening weekend. It's unfortunate. Like, if they just waited, I don't want to say they could have gotten like a better writer, but they could have at least gotten a writer that was more familiar with the essence of the story. They could have nailed continuity better, I think. And Kevin Williamson's good at writing scary teen drama, you know?
I think what disappointed. Do you have any more fun facts?
Well, yeah, so let me just finish up. So funny enough, the director of I Know What You Did Last Summer, Jim Gillespie, actually spoke out against this movie. He said, quote, I thought it wasn't the right story. I didn't like the premise. It kind of killed the franchise a little bit. They had a chance to do something a bit different, and for me, it did not work. And I was like, Jim Gillespie's kind of a bitch because I don't like the way that he treated.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, I don't like the way that he treated Freddie Prinze Jr.
Who even if his mouth do make him look silly when he leave it open, he's just so nice. We like Freddie Prinze Jr.
Right.
He out in these streets running around on Sarah Shigella.
Nope.
He gave us Fred and Scooby Doo. He gave us She's All That. We like that movie.
Right. And so, I mean, I feel like you're kind of salty because you weren't involved in the project. And yeah, the script has its faults, but like, bitch, shut up.
You didn't make Color Purple.
Right. Like you directed Schindler's List or something. Fuck off. But with all that being said, I am very eager to hear. I'm scared too. Do you give this movie a hit or a miss?
Okay. It's not a mystery like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is what's crazy about it. I think Ray and Julie are better in this movie than they were in the first one.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But I don't enjoy this movie because now there's just a mantra of characters who just are there and they aren't pleasant to watch. I just feel like there's just a lot happening in this movie, but then not really, because they're barely on the island. I just don't really enjoy it.
Okay.
It's a miss for me. I don't know if they were trying to make it very similar to the first movie. The "What are you waiting for" scene. The "I am holding your hand" is like when they're on the boat and they discover all the dead bodies. And I think that, I know that sequels bigger body count, but I think that if they would have just scaled it back, found just a better way to incorporate Ray throughout the whole movie, is that he was already with the group, I think that it would have been more fun because we would have seen more interaction with Ray. Because we realistically, within this franchise, there's not much interaction between Julie and Ray. We never really see them. At the end of the movie, we always see them, happy. But we never in the film see them just together, being together. And
That's
it's
true.
like, so we don't really, it's kind of hard to root for them.
I couldn't agree more.
We know we're supposed to like Julie and Ray because they tell us they're together. But it's like, we don't really get to see them together. And I just feel that, I don't know what the New Orleans scene would have been like, the New Orleans movie, but I just think that the worst thing they did in this movie was made Ray have a B plot all along. That was the biggest mistake. Mm-hmm. So it's like I was teetering with a hit with the last one just because the mystery, the setup of that movie. The first 15-20 minutes from the beginning to when they make that pact and walk away before the year passes is such a good movie. The mystery setup, the going to Misty, all of that in that first movie is amazing. That movie drops the ball towards the end because they just let Julie live. But with this movie, it just starts off weird and dumb. I need to know what that New Orleans script was because how bad could it have been for this to be the decision that they picked? So this was going to be a miss for me. I really, really thought that rewatching it, I was going to enjoy it. But honestly, once they get on that island, I don't give a shit what happens until Ray gets there because I know the movie's about to end.
Okay, that's fair.
Your turn.
Well, thank you for that. I will give this movie a hit. This is a movie that I really enjoy. I actually have seen it a lot more than the original. I think it's fun, and it's one of those movies that I will just throw on, and I've watched it over and over and over again. And I tend to do that not with the best movies in the world, but movies that I really love. I know that I've mentioned on here before, I love Wild Wild West. And I'm not going to say that it's a masterpiece, but I will defend that movie until the day that I die. I think it's amazing. And that is kind of how I feel about this movie. Obviously, it has its flaws. It's not perfect when we sit down like this and break it down critically. It's easy to pull out, like kind of continuity errors, things that kind of don't fit with the timeline. But I just think it's fun. I like the idea of them being on the island. I like them being trapped with nowhere to go. I think that the characters are young and very fallible and they're annoying, but overall I really liked them. I love Carla. I think Julie is a lot more palatable in this movie. I enjoy Tyrell being there. The only character I cannot stand is Will, and I know that he's pretending to be someone. I just wish that they'd eased up a little bit on how Magoo he was. I think Ray is a lot better in this movie too. Like you said, I think that both of them are really great. Um, you know, it has its flaws. I think if you sit down and think about it too hard, it's very easy to say that you don't like it, but I do think that it's fun to watch. And so I am giving it a hit on the strength of that. I think it is just very fun. So that's my opinion. But I understand why you would give it a miss.
I always forget that you like this one better.
I do.
But I mean, I like Halloween 6.
And that's fine. I love that for you. Like I always say, taste in movies is subjective.
I agree.
But yeah, so I think that that's all that we have to say on that, right?
A mixed bag.
Yeah. And that's okay. Did you want to tell them about the social media?
Okay. We love to hear from you guys. Please follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook with the handle Did You Get That on Film? You can also email us at didyougеттhatonfilm@gmail.com. For our Spotify and Apple Podcast listeners, leave us a review as well as a rating. Reviews are the best way to support the podcast and help it reach a further audience.
That sounds great. And that's it for this week. And I'm really sorry, guys. I know that we have not been very consistent with our episode releases lately, but I promise we are working on that and we are trying to get back to releasing episodes weekly. Thank you so much for sticking with us through all of this and for being so patient. I promise you we are working on it. We hope to be back next week with a brand new episode. So, until then,
Bye.